Empire of Japan.
Narration. And until the judge has given his verdict on the case, no one has the right to treat him as a criminal. So you will hold your tongue!
Technicalities! Look at you haven't even graduated yet!
And yet, I still seem to know better than you how a court officer should behave. Oi, sick burn, mate! You know what, no, I'm not going to speak in a British accent the entire video, except for character dialogue. Though I must say, you've been all over the newspapers these past few days. Yume University professor murdered in cold blood by student. Only 3 days after the murder. I suppose those are... few.
He's even a qualified lawyer. Impressive, considering he's still an undergraduate.
It's not that impressive. Okay, I thought we were going into Ryunosuke's narration, but nope, let's just pull right out of that narration.
The heart of the British Empire. I wish I could see it too.
Then come with me. We'd have a wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's City of London together.
If only it were that simple.
Sure doesn't sound that simple, does it? Secretly traveling with Kazuma on a study tour in the British Empire? See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. Is this another Wrightworth? Only this one's in the 19th century? Well, as you've no doubt heard, Asogi has been granted permission to go and study in Great Britain. However, if he should fail to defend you in today's trial, I'm afraid that permission will be revoked and never granted again. With crazy stakes like this, isn't any wonder most people in the legal practice care more about winning trials than finding the truth? As soon as the trial starts, the judge will pose a certain question to the defense. When that happens, you must answer before anyone else. You must say, I do.
I do? But what will the question be? Surely not, do you accept the accusations brought before you?
No. How about, Naruhodo Ryunosuke, do you take this woman to be your lovely wedded wife?
Get moving! There's no point in anyone advocating for the likes of you anyway.
Oi, I had a funny feeling that court officers would be tougher in the 19th century, but were they really this tough, I wonder?
So this is a courtroom.
We intro the Great Ace Attorney adventures to bring you the 19th century Japanese version of A Few Good Men. What a whirlwind of a gavel slam. But also, Japanese courts don't use gavels, not even in the 19th century.
Yes!
Let's talk about this new interjection. The original Japanese version is Hi! Hi is Japanese for yes, that's true, but it's generally used in a more formal manner, as in yes sir. It makes sense that Ryunosuke only says hi for interjections at first. You present evidence? Hi! You press a statement? Hi! You point at a spot in a photo or a piece of evidence? Hi! That's all well and good. But when you directly translate the word to English and simply use that as the interjection, it just feels wrong. Before the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles was officially translated to English, the fans did it first with the 3DS version, just like with Ace Attorney Investigations 2. The English interjection in the fan-translated version was instead, Sir! Well, it's still the same original Japanese audio file, but the translation makes more sense given the context of this story. I just can't believe the fans did something better with an English version of an Ace Attorney game than Capcom themselves did.
I, Ryunosuke no Hoto, will be defending myself!
Ryunosuke will be happy to know that a century later, a descendant of his would also represent himself early in his law career, just not as early. And Ryunosuke hadn't even begun his law career at this point, not even studying to be a lawyer.
So, let's start with the very simplest of questions.
Again, a real court would not test the defense in such a fashion, even if it was their first rodeo.
Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case.
Well, that's easy enough. I've heard his name more times than I care to remember. But, wait. I'm so nervous. I can't remember that. What was it again?
Not this again. And this time, it's even more inexcusable, because I highly doubt your nerves should stop. No, because you were there. I could be mistaken, but it doesn't look like I can examine this university collar pin, can I? According to his profile, Taketsuchi Yauchi has little love for the changes the Cultural Reformation has brought about, but then later he seems to be a bootlicker for a gentlewoman. Nah, see, this guy is named John H. Wilson. Totally different character. There can't be anyone who hasn't heard of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. All I found when searching for the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation are two completely different things. One is the 1854 Anglo-Japanese Friendship Treaty, and the other is the 1894 Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Commerce and Navigation. Remember that in court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence.
By evidence? But how?
We literally just went through the court record!
According to this document, the victim suffered a hemorrhagic death due to gunshot trauma.
Not to reach you, imbecile!
I'm with Ouchie here. That report says fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma. Nothing particularly important about him coughing up blood except as a way to identify him aboard a steamship later. Just like his descendant following, Ryunosuke could have gathered information sooner by simply turning over a piece of paper.
You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be.
In other words, all the time, though it would be much better applied to one of two brothers from down your family line, if you know what I'm saying. Are you a genteel man as well? Because if you are, well, that would be E-list. So there's multiple witnesses at a time for you to cross-examine? That's different.
Yes, sir. The Great Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Ieyasu Nosa reporting for duty, sir.
Myself, I find employ as a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the efflorescence of our nation Nippon, and conduct my trade from Rasute, a humble premises in the 2nd District. Kyoryo Korekota, at your service.
Here's some fun facts. The main Japanese characters' names are left alone when the game was translated to English. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, Kazuma Asogi, Susato Mikotoba, etc. That all makes sense. But then we have these names. Ieyasu Nosa was originally named Usukamaru Taizo, with the surname meaning to curl up in a ball, and the given name Hoarding. Then Kyoryo Korikuta was originally named Sonohigarashi Sanman, which forms this sentence in Japanese, living on 3 pennies a day. I can only assume the witnesses' names are changed in English to make them not only easier to pronounce, but also to remember. Ieyasu Nosa sounds like yes sir, no sir, but Kyoryo Korikuta is closer to Curio Collector. As long as it still sounds Japanese, no prob. But again, the main cast, at least whoever is Japanese, had their names unchanged. So if you know the original Japanese names, it can be a bit disorienting. It makes sense to change the names of those who live in Britain, though. It really does.
It was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearms, sir.
This man's as impossible to understand as the other. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during the last thing he said.
Don't worry, I'm sure the military officers and government officials are just as confused why he brought his infant child to a courtroom. Not only that, it's a private hearing. Don't tell me Suma is too busy with other things to take care of the kid while Papa testifies.
Now, the court will hear your formal testimony, please.
It took a half hour to hear the first testimony. Not sure it bodes well for the pacing in the rest of this episode. It's only the tutorial. It's been over 3.5 minutes after the first testimony, and I finally get to conduct my cross-examination. I knew this duology would take a while, but what the crap?
Well, obviously, that, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth.
This is basically me at times when I'm asked a certain question. I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There is no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. I guess there are no better prosecutors at this period in Japan. Then again, the court system was relatively new to Japan at that time.
So this is what being an ace attorney is all about.
Oh please, Kazuma Asogi is not just an ace attorney, he's a great ace attorney.
The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but you'll find a wolf at the back.
He says that like a wolf is more vicious than a tiger, and I couldn't possibly be a deeper disagreement. Ever see how big a tiger is?
Upon hearing the next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there's only one person who could possibly have committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
What?
He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he? Who does Ouchie think he is, Daffy Duck?
You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. Is that clear?
As clear as Kiriko glass, your excellency.
Kiriko glass is not as clear as Korikuta makes it sound. Yes, it's still see-through, but you may as well say it's as clear as stained glass.
Excuse me, but there's something, or someone, peeking out over your shoulder, I think?
Affirmative. The newest member of the Nosa family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name, Aido.
It would seem those straps are a sign of the sergeant being too strapped to afford a nanny. Again, it could also mean Suma was too busy with something else to take care of Otokonoko while Papa went to court.
The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witness, but make it quick. Understood?
How about we make the segues quick too? That was about 3 minutes after the testimony and we finally cross-examined? Even in the 19th century, the name Von Karma strikes the time.
It would seem that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant.
Hota clinic?
Hata Clinic? As in, oh boy, everyone in this duology should be happy they won't be alive to see what that place would turn into.
Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend.
A trend that's unfortunately caught on even now. You gotta scroll past the end of the whole testimony just to learn how to examine the evidence. Use the right analog stick. Why not just put the symbol for right analog stick? Also, moving pictures in the 1800s. Scary. First off, Hana Clinic is not the dentist, it's the name of the clinic that the dentist making the operation works for. Second, you're not gonna set a date on the report card? The appointment was on the 19th of November, or did you feel like you needed a year too? And we all know that Ace Attorney isn't always so keen on putting the year on things, except for that one time. Don't forget DL6. Ah, there's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure until anesthetic effects have passed. Sure, police. Only look at the information convenient for making the report to Britain on time. Yeah, modern police isn't that great. What makes you think the 19th century would be any better?
It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off.
Except when we read it the first time, it was worded totally different. Why can't Ace Attorney be consistent with the exact wording?
The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel?
Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit confusing when judges use counsel to refer to both the defense and the prosecution.
The person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been...
We got a couple ways to embarrass ourselves here. We could either basically accuse ourselves or completely discount the medical report.
Complicit in murder? No!
No, see? New information. And all we had to do was turn over a piece of paper.
Sorry, Your Excellency. That's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest.
I beg your pardon?
Or perhaps I should have said the front? Yes! It's the front and the back of the card! That's where the telling detail is!
Imagine this display being put on by someone trying to talk about the other side of a card. Totally not excruciating to watch.
But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Ah! Of course! Your salary must be terrible!
I was working undercover.
Dang it, I could suggest Gumshoe does some part-time work at Traipian. Oh, right, that place gets terrible business. No favors. The trial started at 9 o'clock a.m., but Game wants to suggest the trial went 2 hours and 38 minutes before the first recess. To which I say, Igieri! That is just impossible! I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer.
Forget it! It's terrifying! If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of the courtroom again!
Ryunosuke would soon break this word after something happens to Cosmo on the way to Britain. Recess was meant to be 30 minutes, but went for 31 minutes. That's cheating.
By aligning ourselves with this great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures.
Politics are the fruit of evil.
So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you with your name and occupation, please.
English speech. Obviously, the joke is that even though what we're reading is written in the English language, they're actually speaking Japanese. It wouldn't work the same way if the real English speech was written in the same manner and everyone was confused by it. But it does make me curious how it looks in the original Japanese version. I'd set the text language to Japanese to test it, but for some reason that's not an option for the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. You could do it with the Phoenix Wright trilogy, but this came out after the Phoenix Wright trilogy HD remaster. There was no excuse whatsoever not to have the option here.
It looks the exact same. They didn't change a thing.
Gosh dang it! So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese? We learn later she can speak Japanese just fine, but her reasons for speaking English at first were just something personal. It's not like an earth-shattering discovery that we make, meaning there was no other reason not to speak Japanese in the court.
Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement.
What makes this witness statement any more conclusive than whatever the last two witnesses have testified to?
Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard. And look at the Snow White Angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe.
That's racist, and against someone of your own race, too.
Ah! That's ridiculous! If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it!
Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, the greatly disgraced attorney. Surely you carried out a physical search, Inspector.
No.
Why on earth not?
The honorable English gentlewoman clearly stated that she did not possess a weapon. There was obviously no need for any further probing into the matter.
Do you not have women like this in Japan? Why is it so hard to treat English gentlewomen in a much similar manner?
Japanese is such a cumbersome language anyway. English is the future. We must all speak English.
That's way racist.
The last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has a profound bearing on this case.
Well, well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing,
The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. Like, right now?
Sorry.
So we hear actual English words sometimes, huh?
In other words, another gun, the one that's actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag.
No!
No.
I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. That photographic print.
Yes, Brett says she hit the glass herself, but Hosonaga had that photograph with him. This isn't something you just forget, especially if you were under orders to hide her presence at the restaurant.
But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect.
And by immediate effect, I mean provided you're down to your last pin. The magnifying glass is a cool feature for getting a closer look at photographs and articles and whatnot, but that's pretty much it.
How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore!
What? How?
Attention!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy!
You can't fool me into thinking my not bluffs are bluffs.
When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead!
That's madness!
Madness? This is Japan!
My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world.
This woman's clearly never heard Spanish. Or French.
If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please, do show me.
Sure, but I think first you need to learn a bit more about Japanese writing. I'm pretty sure you say can be taken, not been.
Whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that.
Damn you!
I have enough English to understand that, at least. For the benefit of others in the court, it means bless you.
Nice try, Algie, but the judge has been to Britain before. Heck, you can even speak the English language. You're not fooling anyone.
Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right.
And we have to read through the banter among the defense bench and press the last statement again before we can access a new element. Well, that depends on what you mean by new. Officially, this is the first game where you can pursue another witness's reaction, and it was based on a feature of the Professor Layton crossover. But my point is, the way the feature is introduced here is bullcrap. Why not just show me the new element as it happens and not force me to press the same statement again just to get anywhere? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker.
What marker?
Oh, you know, the floating thought bubble over Hosanaga's head with dots on it. What else could Kazuma mean by marker?
Excuse me!
This one's technically also a new interjection, but it originates from the Japanese choto, which was also in the Layton crossover. In English, the interjection was hang on, but it was changed in the Great Ace Attorney in order to be more time appropriate. And boy, this was something the fan-translated version slacked on. That one didn't think about the time period and still said hang on. The term hang on originated in 1936 in telephone conversations, and this game was set in the 1800s, so hang on would not have worked. But actually, it makes me wonder why it was even hang on the Layton crossover. Excuse me would have worked just as well for Phoenix Wright to use as Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Not just because they're related either.
I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done.
May should really get checked if he's coughing this much blood.
And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only person who could have possibly done it!
And it is not the student who's studying English. Are you sure you're not missing a word there?
I will silence you forever, Miss Disgraceful attack on our lesson.
Whoa! I've seen aggressive witnesses tell a court representative to shut up, but I've never heard it in an interjection bubble before.
No. No!
No.
In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning.
Even Phoenix's ancestor had to be helped by a woman at the last possible minute in order to solve a case. Also, a tutorial case with a second checkpoint. What a world we live in, am I right? Also, court is still in session. We haven't gone to recess again.
A judicial assistant and a woman, no less. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify.
I'm pretty sure this same rule used to apply in Great Britain until 1919, yet Susato, before the 20th century even began, was still allowed on a study tour in Britain as a judicial assistant because even the Great Ace Attorney needed a teenage girl as a sidekick.
Kirare? What's that? I've never heard that word before.
Time's up!
It's only been 1 minute since she came to our bench. The judge promised 5.
Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence.
All we have to do is manually present the latest piece.
I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense.
As if English is any easier. The above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Pretty specific example just to summarize that the poison needs to enter the bloodstream in order to take effect on the body.
To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed.
Are you sure? Do you really think every poison works that way? Even in the 1800s, Ouchie had to have heard of a poison that doesn't.
So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it?
What?
You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the results as if you discovered them.
Who said anything about us discovering these results?
Objection! Enough of this! I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules.
Now that is just desperate. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how? How did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? You have the research notes right there. All you have to do is look at them.
The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
Objection! That's not a valid explanation.
No?
After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish.
We have someone right there on the stand that does speak English. We could just ask him to translate it for us. So no, Prosecutor Ouchie, it's not an invalid explanation.
I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, counsel.
Why do you think I'm pulling the thing out? I have an answer to how Brett survived drinking the glass of carbonated water, don't I?
Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound.
Again, not exactly what's written in the report. That swan is a live specimen? Who is this, Fifi Lagarde with her fox coat?
So, if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he?
Well, gee, let's consider why he didn't have any stake himself.
Objection!
Wait, hold up. That doesn't sound very powerful.
Objection!
There we go.
Take that!
When Ryunosuke says hold it, take that, or got it, he seems to sound a little different than when he says yes, objection, or excuse me, and his objection sucks in English.
What if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water?
Inside?
Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example.
Imagine if Wilson never had to go to the dentist. What would have been Brett's plan then? That's as good as a confession. She didn't even try to make it look like an accident. We interrupt the Great Ace Attorney Adventures to bring you the 19th century Japanese version of Psych.
It's been niggling me for a while that something feels amiss in my memories of that day.
What the heck did you just say? Oh.
And I saw that on the wooden base of the plate that the steak was served on was a spattering of blood.
What?
Oh, really? And what of it? Obviously that must have happened when you shot the professor.
If I've come this far, it should be apparent to you that I'm not an idiot. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a closer look at this beefsteak by pressing A to examine it bit by bit, revealing new information. Then once we find what we're looking for, that's when we press X.
Obviously, it can only be the antiques dealer and owner of Rasute, Kyoyo Korikuzu-san!
Curie? As in Mr. Cucumber something?
Thanks for reminding me I had to look the name up just to figure out the pun, and that's not even it.
As far as your Rasute memory serves, have you ever seen this crime?
I'd be surprised too if my shop's name, which is really a pun on an English word, is used as a joke about my memory.
Sandwiched? Soaking? Seriously?
I happen to know another Japanese man who speaks in alliteration in pretty much any opportunity he gets.
I stole that koban, did I? I'm the master thief of the carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet? But it wasn't me. It was Aido! Aido is the mastermind behind all this!
At it again with crappy fathers in the Ace Attorney universe.
A veritable phantom thief you are.
Phantom thief, eh?
And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness.
It's not just nonsense and pure madness, it's not even proper etiquette. And more importantly, thanks for bringing Desho Robert Parr's eating habits into this so we can dig a grave for you.
You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence?
I don't know, one of the plates had a bloodstain on it. As someone who strives for a perfect investigation, you couldn't have missed it. The strap under her chin is what's letting the swan carry her to heaven, but shouldn't this have broken her neck?
I had the bottle of curare in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt.
Under your skirt?
Ouchie is so flustered by the facts that he forgot a few Japanese language fundamentals.
I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san.
For trying to frame me for a murder you committed? Never! Ah, so that's where Winston got the idea for such beautiful locks in Apollo Justice. 1,000 millennia may pass, and still the Ouchie clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. Foreshadowing, even if we've already seen it for ourselves.
Kazuma Asogi.
Yes?
After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can. Absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you.
Crazy to think, but I've heard they didn't originally plan on Kazuma being alive to attempt to fulfill the mission referred to by the judge. We should be celebrating Ryunosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun.
In that case, might I suggest La Carnival?
You mean that place where I was almost convicted in a Japanese court for a crime I didn't commit? Great suggestion, Osanaga. I'm human, just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe in and stick to it when you're defending someone. These words scarily remind me of what Phoenix's mentor used to say, and it's my first clue that something bad's gonna happen to him.
Kazuma, Professor Mikotoba, Susato-san, who acted as my assistant.
Susato was only there to give Ryunosuke that one piece of evidence. She didn't act as your assistant for your first trial.
Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still.
He played a huge part! What are you talking about? Nah, see, cuz it's an Unbreakable Speckled band. Totally different.
In a corner of that small, dark room.
Narrating.
No marks to suggest the bolt was tampered with in any way?
You know, except for the dislocated catch. Oh, because you had to burst your way in, and that's why it looks like this. Got it.
A Russian word. So, the victim was a Russian man then?
You know, Susato, you're right there in the room. You don't have to stay silent when he mistakenly names your friend's nationality. Just how advanced is the technology this British detective has, anyway? And all the way back in the late 19th century?
Who are you, and what do you think you're doing here?
Voice says Heavy from Team Fortress 2, but is unfortunately not the same voice actor.
I'm a great British consultant detective, the only one in the world. Herlock Sholmes. I presume you must have heard of me.
No? I know a Sherlock Holmes, though. Funny story, this guy really was called Sherlock Holmes, the original Japanese version, but in English they just swapped around the first sounds of his first and last names, though there was actually a good reason for it. It was because just keeping the Sherlock Holmes name would result in legal issues with the Conan Doyle family. The reason it was allowed in the Japanese version was because Japan didn't have the same legal issues as most English-speaking countries. The copyright on Sherlock Holmes didn't expire until January 1st, 2023, as the last Sherlock Holmes story that Conan Doyle wrote was published in 1927, and The Great Ace Attorney came to the US in 2021, which is 2 years before Holmes entered the public domain. What unfortunate timing that led to one of Ace Attorney's most meme-worthy characters.
Why did you do it? Why did you take his life?
Gosh dang it, Ryunosuke! Weren't you already the prime suspect in the first episode? Your luck is even worse than your descendants! Not only have you been accused of murder twice, but both charges were in the same game! How do you do this to yourself, man?
Kazuma-sama's body was discovered not long ago.
I knew it! Another BFA, only Japanese and male.
No. No!
No, I really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. Looking at it, me neither. According to a post on Twitter, Ryunosuke stands at 5'6" or 168 centimeters. Not to mention, that trunk looks smaller than that desk, meaning yeah, it's a friggin' miracle it can even fit. I tell you what, why don't you write "keep out" or something on this piece of paper?
What?
Then I can stick it over the wardrobe doors once you're inside. If the steward can speak Japanese, that would make it look suspicious.
We leave you at the next port. Stay quiet until then. Don't make more trouble for yourself. Murderer.
No! I'm not a murderer!
Duh, you said before. You said you would admit everything about your crimes.
Don't put words in my mouth. I said I will tell you everything. That's not the same thing as confessing to murder.
Hiya!
That won't get old at all.
I'll show her some evidence right now that proves I'm not guilty of this awful crime.
Something you'd think shows would have openly deduced right there while Ryunosuke was still sleeping in the closet, but also the only other thing than my collar pin that could possibly be presented in your own defense.
I can't rule out the possibility that you used some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back in position.
You're kinda gonna have to, because this is in 1692. For the second episode of The Great Ace Attorney 1, what can we do to make this one different from the rest of the episodes in the series? Let's see, we have some episodes that only have trial chapters, so why not have an episode that's all investigation chapters? Don't we technically already have that with the investigations duology? Yeah, but not in a more traditional Ace Attorney game. I know that people tend to prefer the trial chapters over the investigation chapters, but let's give this a try.
I'm sure you're careful to look around using left and right, aren't you?
Oh, now you tell me?
Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess.
Me neither, but this is a crime scene. You can't just do that. Then again, I guess I'm technically breaking the rules as well.
I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing.
Surely you've read detective stories about dying messages being fabricated. This should have been your first clue.
Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue.
Hiya! That's out of the question.
Not if the man is dead, it's not. Besides, this is a murder investigation.
I have no idea who he is or how he got in here, but he looks suspicious and tall. Suspiciously tall.
Forget height. What about the fact that he just apparated here?
So it's true. It was you who did this to Kazuma-sama.
What?
And you're plotting a revolution too. It's shameful behavior, Naruhodo-san. Absolutely wicked.
Oh, come on. Please tell me you don't actually believe the bullcrap that the Sherlock Holmes wannabe spewed just now.
What kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came to your head.
Ah, but was I not right? Whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not?
Well, yes. Maybe.
Ha! There you have it, you see? What do you make of that,
What do I make of that? The fact that you conveniently chose one element of your deduction just to say the whole thing was correct?
Number 2. The victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance.
Of course Sholmes knows who this guy really is, but what's the point of calling him Russian, especially in front of two close friends? Not to mention the fact that he's been looking through Kazuma's diary with entries that have been written in Japanese. And Tsusato, correct him already if Ryunosuke wouldn't.
Garderobe. That is the Russian word for wardrobe.
This is correct nowadays, but back in the 19th century, Russian spelling rules were different. Garderobe would have a heart sign at the end, though I guess that last letter wasn't finished.
Initially, I considered Garderobe may be the name of the killer, a certain Robert Gard, perhaps.
But that doesn't sound right. In Russian, the way names are read are mostly like how it's done in most countries. First name, last name. It's not opposite like in Japan or China.
I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people.
Are school uniforms are the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea.
F- memory service in that case. Why am I stuck with a job of correcting this plonka? Care to explain? Susato, don't just blindly go with everything he's saying just because he's your idol.
Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think?
Kanyachna, certainly, if it interests you.
How many times? I'm not Russian, and I don't speak Russian.
Say something out loud! Apparently there are newspaper article titles and subtitles that are spelled wrong in Cyrillic, but I can't read or speak any Cyrillic. Luckily, my foreign friend who voices Sholmes can read Cyrillic and has informed me that the text is too modern of a spelling. This game takes place in the 19th century, so the spelling in the newspapers don't match how the Russians would spell things then.
This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered.
Since when was Kazuma a Russian?
Since Sholmes named him one in describing his two facts?
It was a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary, one who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered.
That's not reasoning, that's just baseless conjecture.
I don't look anything like this man, just look at his face!
Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well.
No doubt? Based on what, idiot?
And, I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more?
Yes, you still don't know who I really am at all, and you have nothing to base your deductions on. Literally nothing except a newspaper article about a Russian revolutionary. I don't need to be Sherlock Holmes, the real Sherlock Holmes, to say that doesn't tell you crap.
Ah, yes. The journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far, and those he is plotting.
What kind of interview was being conducted if Bolshevik felt so free to tell of all the crimes he is about to commit in the near future?
And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well.
On the back?
Cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret.
So you admit I'm not Russian?
Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you?
Kazuma? Ah, yes, the victim.
There goes your victim was Russian deduction.
Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese.
Yeah, destroys your deduction, blah blah blah.
Susato-san? Aren't you gonna throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns?
I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san. What on earth do you mean?
Life is so unfair.
Naruhodo Ryunosuke would be excellent at GameSins.
If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate.
That's not convincing at all.
Seigi, the Japanese word for justice. The brushstrokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma.
Yes, his calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Yet can you really look at those characters without feeling shame, knowing who drew them so thoughtfully?
Of course I can! I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to?
Even though you stowed away on this ship?
Hey, Kazuma helped with that, and I told you about it, so back off.
Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden.
It's been said that Kazuma had to do a lot of persuasion for the British government to allow him to bring his sword with him. I'm actually starting to see what is meant by that now. Oh, wouldn't you know it, it's the inspector guy that's all too often coughing up blood, now disguised as a sailor. Except, why is he holding his arm at a 90-degree angle as though he were still posing as a waiter? Or perhaps like he's wearing a sling.
It was Minister of Justice Jigoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead.
Minister of Justice Jigoku? Have we met someone with that name before? Yeah, this is the first time we hear that name.
I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see.
Then where were you before now? Clearly not anywhere inside the cabin where we could notice you ever.
You seem to have caught this sail on a bad day, Susato-san.
I am not sailor. My mother gave me name. I am senior crewman, Biff Stroganoff.
I used to think the last name was a pun on strong enough due to a line of dialogue. I knew Stroganoff was a thing, but it didn't cross my mind. But then I ask why it doesn't cross my mind. Because I don't want to associate myself with communism? Also, what's with people getting their panties in a knot over using occupations in place of names you don't know because you weren't told? If I don't use your name when talking about you, obviously I don't know your name. You are not allowed to get hissy with me.
Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Asogi's?
His name is Grimsby Roylott. He is very important Western gentleman.
So important that he just might be the target of a venomous snake.
I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges.
Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. That door doesn't appear to be bolted.
It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What, pray, can I kick?
The door? Maybe not off its hinges, but still.
But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be so bold as to ask you to open that small travelling case?
What? Don't be stupid! How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that?
Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Travelling inside one's trunk?
Maybe, but that trunk is even smaller than Kazuma's.
There's no doubt about it. The strange Russian man is hiding something.
I couldn't agree more.
Agree with what? And if you answer this person hiding something, I only thought it. I never spoke it out loud.
I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment.
And it came from one of your stories. Your story!
As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decide to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away.
There's a theory that Sholmes is purposefully making the wrong deductions to test his partner's observational skills. Stuff like this is actually lending credence to that theory.
You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, villain Bolshevik. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand.
Then what was all that talk about him earlier?
I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other.
Ah yes, I recall our discussion earlier, and at the time, I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance.
Again, you have nothing to base that on.
Oh, where are your handcuffs?
Huh? How did...
I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction.
I believe I asked how, not why. They don't tell you about using the right stick to rotate the scene during a dance of deduction. That's something you gotta figure out.
You on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks you sport!
Indeed. You have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose.
You're testing me. I know you are.
I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. This is strictly business, not strictly
Not strictly come what? Dancing? Dancing to deduce?
Ah! Your hands are cuffed again!
What? But how?
True to my word, I have restored your shackles.
When? And why?
Is Susato sure that Sholmes is not the one with conjuring powers?
So you run away to protect yourself?
Yes, and the crew of the ship, they have all been kind to me.
Probably because you're Russian, just like them.
But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? It is, isn't it?
Maybe an adorable little rabbit?
Ha! You credit Russia as a land with small rabbits, do you?
Why not? It's not like Australia where they're considered pests. As far as the UK stance on rabbits, that depends on who you ask. They could be pets, they could be pests, or even a food source. They could even be portrayed in a positive light in children's literature, like in Peter Rabbit or Watership Down.
Having still not managed to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin, we were unceremoniously chased out. That is to say, we were quite literally picked up and thrown into the passageway outside.
But the dialogue before suggested you were about to leave anyway. What's the point of literally throwing the intruders out then?
Maybe I should steer clear of him until he's forgotten my face.
I don't think he'll ever forget your face, Naruhodo-san.
How do you know that's exactly what I was? I'll have to get used to this whole mind reading from a normal person, aren't I? It's not like the Fae clan in any shape or form. Doesn't even share the same surname in Japanese, so what's going on here? He's wiping his mouth, but he hasn't coughed yet.
Nikolina Pavlova, she's in the cabin next door.
This is the very first line spoken when we select the cabin next door. Maybe a leading line from Ryunosuke mentioning her first? That would make a lot more sense.
Well, that tells us the neighboring cabin is unrelated to the case, at least.
Oh? How?
Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they?
You were previously involved in a case where an angel did kill someone. I know this because I was there, as the prime suspect.
So at first I think they were considering poison. But it turns out they found no trace of poison in his system at all.
I'm sorry, I thought we were reading a post-mortem report, right? Not an autopsy report. Is it both?
I did it the great detective way.
Is that a variant of My Way by Frank Sinatra? Holy crap, have we just been listening to an arrangement this whole time?
Yes, there were times. I'm sure you knew.
Yeah, nope, that's My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Ah, you're starting to understand what my way is, I see. What makes Sholmes, brilliance.
And giving future song artists ideas for songs, apparently.
Perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against the bookcase?
I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the same night she ran away from her ballet company?
Not to mention, I'm pretty sure she wanted to run away from ballet altogether. She did say something to that effect, didn't she?
It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage.
And that is even less logical, because you were with me the whole time we've been in this room questioning Pavlova about the murder.
I thought you might have climbed into the water when I wasn't looking. There's no place like home.
One reference at a time. Are you going for a Narnia reference or a Wizard of Oz reference?
There's hardly anything in here at all.
Except for the other half of the pink thing in the other cabin.
Shut down the engines immediately. Vessel sighted at quarter mile 4. Full stop. Hard to starboard. All hands braced for impact.
What the?
I think we're about to crash into another ship.
Oh, you think? Just because the guy said a vessel was sighted?
Naruhodo-san, aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in?
I'd better tidy this place up first.
Screw that! Just let the man in!
You wicked intruder! Dressed all in black! You are the devil!
You've seen me in this exact outfit once already. Why are you giving such a strong reaction to it now?
He is a criminal! Is it not enough that he has killed a man?
Da, and he is stowaway as well. Vixen promises not to steal chicken. Do you believe?
I'm pretty sure Pavlova is Vixen in this case, you brute.
We all knew who was responsible for killing Suit and Boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is the stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it.
The handcuffs don't prove anything. They were put on my wrist after the room was initially analyzed upon discovery. It was because you thought I was the killer they were even on my wrist to begin with. Do a better job pointing out proof next time. Why'd the snake have to wrap itself all around his face?
Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain.
I didn't realize I'd have to correct poetry this time.
In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake, whose markings change each time it slows its skin.
It's not that rare for a snake's new skin to look different from the shedded skin. In fact, it'd be weird if it wasn't different.
According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom.
Doesn't that idea fly in the face of the post-mortem report, which says there were no signs of injury? A snake bite would leave marks. Surely Horley thought about that before saying it.
Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost, but not quite, imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth.
You didn't think this through, did you? Or maybe this is a test!
There can be no doubt. My logic is infallible. It was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand.
Did that idiom originate in Russia, though? I'm not sure.
No hands, no feet, no ears? These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless.
Hey! Don't diss snakes like that. This one correction during the second dance of deduction had me stumped for a while because of one simple thing. The game doesn't have the courtesy to tell you that you can press A to examine the different options as opposed to X to present. It's kinda pathetic to admit that I looked up a walkthrough just to figure it out because I found the coin under the stake, no problem. See, the game doesn't give enough of a tutorial for the first time you're presented with a new element to the gameplay. It kinda expects you to figure out a few things on your own, which is stupid because this is the first game we see the dance of deduction. I should have seen a full-fledged tutorial on how the mechanic works before I even started the first dance of deduction. Using the right stick to look around the area, X to present the item of interest, A to examine the item of interest further. You know, would that be so hard? I don't think so.
If she just left it in her pocket, no one would ever have known.
Oh yes, Louis like that at Mr. Shum's specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something.
I thought deduction was a specialty. Or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too.
Nah, deductions are a speciality, but he wants to test your deductions. Nice description. She's wearing the same tiara in this photographic print as she is in the photo in the newspaper article. Cool.
It's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident.
I don't deny the possibility, but even for an Ace Attorney game, that just sounds comical for what's meant to be a serious scene. Yes, I know Kazuma returns in the second game, but still.
Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it.
Fortunately, it isn't true. Really.
Oh, what's that?
It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it?
Remember the first time you searched this waste paper basket? How could you not have seen this before? Powers of observation, son.
What about the snake?
You're right. Where is it?
Hasn't left the room. Where is it? Really?
Now he is hungry, so he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile.
And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose?
That suggestion is worthy of a Susato takedown.
It refuses to drink milk. It can't hear a whistle. It can't climb up a bell cord. And it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role?
I wouldn't say so much inept as immaterial to the story.
The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident.
The photographic print of Kazuma on the floor doesn't prove it wasn't an accident, it just proves the cover-up job was bad.
I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their own native language, Japanese in this case.
But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast.
You only say it's simple because you're a native speaker. Japanese and Russian don't even have anything in common.
Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death.
That post-mortem report is outdated, Naruhodo-san. This new report says almost instant death. Oh, wait, it says not dead? Meaning this isn't even a post-mortem report after all.
Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. In other words...
That's not proof it wasn't an accident either. All you're proving is that someone tried to cover up that it ever happened.
But wait! I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches so they can open and close them from the outside.
I already gave that theory at the beginning of the episode and you discounted it! What are you doing, Susato-san?
But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so...
Susato-san! How could you shift it onto me like that?
And that just makes it worse.
As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion.
You know what I think Herlock Sholm's favorite game is? I'll tell you what it is. Button, button, who's got the button? I would think a Russian steamship would have a ship's log be written in, Russian.
Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop?
That's quite an accomplishment considering this. What are the odds that Kazuma was the only one on board that didn't like chicken?
But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories.
Yeah, you do. You guys have a history of telling long and elaborate stories, usually during long voyages, to entertain each other.
Yes!
Yet. Also, for the first time in Ace Attorney history, you get to watch a culprit break down and not a single cross-examination was done. Not even a rebuttal, investigation style.
He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina?
Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. So Pavlova performed in Japan? Thanks for answering your own question. Again, this is supposed to be a serious life-changing moment for Ryunosuke, but it's so comical.
I dragged the young man's body to good place, and used ink that was spilling to write on floor. I wrote garderobe, so that person who found him would look inside wardrobe and find stowaway.
But because you wrote it in Russian, the doubts eventually surfaced. Well, I guess it sure felt that way with how much investigating and deducing we've done, but I'm not sure it's even 7 PM just yet. How is Hosonaga already recovered from his bruises?
I wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you, about how you lost good friend.
Whoa. Who'd have thought that deep down, Beef Stroganov is a nice guy in spite of his strong, mean exterior?
It looks like my study tour of the Great Britain is over before it's even begun, then.
You weren't meant to be on a study tour to begin with.
And I'm free again now at least. Huh?
Surprised, Mr. Naruhodo?
You frickin' plunker!
That's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all of that in just 40 days?
Sure, Jesus fasted in the desert for 40 days. Why can't I study law to become a competent lawyer in Great Britain in 40 days?
Its name is Karuma. It's a great sword that's been in the Asogi clan for generations.
Garuma? As in the original Japanese name for Von Karma? Does that mean the Asogi clan is connected to the Karuma clan, and then the Karumas went to Germany and got together with the Von Karmas? Or am I thinking about this too deeply?
Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you. And not just once, but 5 times.
5 times? Unless I'm missing one, I think it was 4 times.
Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam.
Oh, of course. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo?
Sorry?
Hiya!
So much for saying you should never have thrown me.
I hate Snake Shock! I hate him!
Glancing over my records of the late last century.
Narrating. This one shot has a bunch of Monty Python references for you to catch. To start with, you got Cleason Palin, British Tailors, as a John Cleason, Michael Palin. Then Great Richard Chocolates, referencing a certain character in Life of Brian that is a funny name. And another Life of Brian reference just by this other omnibus that says Brian's Coco. Idle and Jones, like Eric Idle and Terry Jones. Gilliam Theater, like that other Terry, whose last name is Gilliam. And both Terrys are referenced by Terry's lever watches. Way to make a bunch of stuff up for 19th century London. Good stuff. But then we have Rosebud next to Cleason Palin. Out of all things, a Citizen Kane reference is not what I'd expect in this specific game.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
Subtitles suggest a pause between the words this and is, but there's no such pause in the actual audio file used for the cutscene.
It seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 47 seconds late. My apologies.
Over an hour late? This guy must have a busy schedule.
The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. I understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores.
Kinda defeats the purpose of coming here other than to inform him that I'll be taking Cosmo's place in the study tour.
If there's someone else here from Japan who could be described as a lawyer, it's...
What did we talk about doing in the 40 days before we arrived in London?
The voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education.
Actually, more like about 55 days.
Keep your technicalities to yourself, Mr. Knight. Neither the viewers nor I have time for them.
Not like that makes a difference.
Your timing is perfect, in fact. There's an app trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defense yet, so this will be welcome news.
Whoa, hold up. I'm pretty sure you can't just test a rookie lawyer with a trial that starts in less than half an hour.
If the defendant is found guilty, he will of course be sentenced to capital punishment.
Capital punishment? He'll be put to death?
Remember when England used to have the death penalty? Also, why is Ryunosuke so surprised to hear this? Japan works the same way in punishment for murder, even back then.
It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here.
But we've been chatting for about 15 minutes after 9:21 a.m., meaning by the time I get on the carriage and go to the Old Bailey, in all likelihood, it'll be too late. Oh, bull crap, dude! Maybe there's a reason?
Did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard? Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver, and there's a guinea in it for you.
Yeah, no, I'm sending it. But also, we have an all-trial episode at the start, which makes sense. Then next is an all-investigation episode. Strange, but alright. Then we're back to an all-trial episode for the third one. And no, I'm not counting that little bit of conversation at the start of the episode. That was just done as a preface for what we were getting into.
The court clerk said the defendant should be here, but there's no sign of him at all.
I know the defendant is shorter than 5 feet, but like Abraham Lincoln, he also has a pretty big hat. Kinda hard to miss if you ask me.
Top of the morning to you, madam.
Oh, I didn't know Jacksepticeye was in this game. What a pleasant... Oh.
Do yous not know who I am? Me, one of London's biggest names.
How would we? Like we said, we just got here from Japan.
So, if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, and you'd be happy to put yourself in our hands, we'll do our best.
What was I after saying, you daft idiot? I've given you 1,000 guineas to stand up there next to me, haven't I?
Would you relax? I just don't want your leprosy.
When Van Zeke stands for the prosecution, they'll call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And to this day, every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned.
So, it's another hotshot prosecutor that hasn't lost a trial. Ryunosuke's descendant would face a lot of those in the future.
Until you showed your face here, I'd made up me mind, so I had.
Sorry?
I decided I'd have to defend myself in there.
How would that have worked?
You're the last man who should ask this question. Even though the media popularly depicts British judges using a gavel, that has just never happened in real life.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hardly remind you.
Wait, a jury? Well, I do know that the British jury has existed longer than the American jury. It's so old, it predated America entirely by about 5 centuries. But in Apollo Justice, the jury, called the juris system, had apparently been abolished in America for some unknown reason before a test was set up by Phoenix Fortune Wright himself in an effort to bring that system back. But then in Dual Destinies, we're back to the standard Ace Attorney judgments where the verdict was decided by one single judge. With this game, we learn about the British jury, which, okay, you can make the argument it's still in effect in Britain to this day, because even in a fictional world, Great Britain is still a different country from America or Japan, so there's values dissonance. But the question on my mind is the same one I raised with Apollo Justice. What happened in America to abolish the juris system? And furthermore, why wasn't the juris system still in place in Dual Destinies afterward if it seemed like the test went well? But what I will give this game credit for is that they actually used the correct word for a member of the jury, which is juror. If they could write juror in the Great Ace Attorney, why couldn't they make that correction when remastering Apollo Justice in 2024? Mind you, the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles came out in 2021. There was absolutely no freaking excuse whatsoever.
Ha! Any criminals here should be wishing they never set their eyes on me.
I'm no criminal, and I wish I never set eyes on you. Who are the absolute geniuses that let this man have a knife in the courtroom? The photograph being in color isn't technically anachronistic. The first color photograph was taken in 1861 by Thomas Sutton. It was a photo of a tartan ribbon made using the 3-color method that was first suggested by James Clerk Maxwell in 1855. But this isn't just a 3-color method. This photo was colored like it was taken in the 1970s, or maybe even later than that. Mainly, I'm just shocked the photo exists the way it does.
My name is... everyone calls me Peppo. I drive an omnibus in the East End.
The dude keeps shivering. I get the winter air is cold and ACs weren't a thing yet, but why not soak in the candlelight a little bit?
I'd read that civilization and the Eastern Highland nations were a good century behind your own. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses?
Yes! We just got here! We've never been to London before! Just for the omnibus to be seen in the courtroom, we had to make some arrangements within the courtroom itself because screw continuity, the witness stand wasn't immediately split in two. Also, the Old Bailey must have some huge doors if you're able to fit an entire omnibus in a single courtroom to use as evidence. Heck, the doors would have to be huge to even get the omnibus in the actual building itself at all. That's nothing short of impressive. Now, the attorney's badge was based on a real-life pin that modern Japanese lawyers wear to identify their legal career, but was the armband pretty much the same thing in the 19th century? Somehow I have the feeling that it is, but I haven't found any real info on it, so 19th century history scholar, fill me in?
Let us continue with proceedings then. Your cross-examination, counsel.
Phew, we had a lot to go through. 4.5 minutes of talking about the actual crime scene, and we finally question our witnesses. That 1.5 minutes I spent investigating the inside of the omnibus don't count towards the segue.
I don't like this thinking, Rich. Never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be. Every one of them.
This one man, he donated money to cure 1,000 blind people, and I'm pretty sure he only did that to boost his ego. The nerve! I don't think tossing fire onto a scale is the best way to signify to a court whether you think the defendant is guilty or not. Now we have a prosecutor pouring alcohol for himself in a courtroom.
Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck.
But that doesn't mean the right's been abolished. If it were abolished, then I'd be out of luck.
What even is it, Mrs. Otto? This so-called summation examination?
Oh, one moment and I'll read about it.
You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understood what it entails.
Who said anything about demanding the right just yet?
I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked.
Not sure how it works against Van Zeeks. He just said the law books Usato has must have been written before lawyers stopped practicing it.
I see. So the contradictions in what two or more jurors say that we were looking for.
It's funny we got lucky enough to have 2 pairs of contradictions already in the first summation examination we do ever, because I'm pretty sure that even with the jurors being complete strangers, they'd still have to talk out their reasons amongst themselves. I don't know, I'm just going off of what 12 Angry Men depicted.
If we can manage to change 2 more judges' minds, we can force the trial to continue.
So you need 4 out of 6 jurors to say not guilty to continue? Meaning it's a majority verdict rather than a unanimous one. Great.
There is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions.
Then that's where you must strike next.
So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show there's another contradiction in their assertions.
Exactly. You can do it.
Yeah, I'm really gonna have to get used to this mind-reading thing.
Look at him, in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all.
This isn't medieval times, mate! You can't claim that anymore! The autopsy report just lists the victim by nickname and not by real name. The name Milverton is only important for the game's finale. You're not giving much away by naming him.
We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo! We've won!
Premature celebration. Yeah, the trial's still going, but that's pretty much all that happened. We haven't won just yet.
I know a liar when I see one, and if that chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this leather sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head. Please tell me he's a barber.
No, the way he's licking his knife, I think he's a serial killer. Wouldn't the wine stain his glove rather than instantly evaporate? And shouldn't the glass cut through his glove and into his skin? Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin.
Oh? Why not?
It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. I'm sure McGilded wanted this whole thing between him and Mason to be private, but a public service really shouldn't be allowing this.
You will identify the area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus.
As Van Zeeks just said, the omnibus is already in the courtroom. Why use a cross-section plan if we could just give a practical demonstration?
Of course! So the 2 people sitting inside the cabin that the witnesses saw through the skylight that night, they were the victim and the real culprit.
You couldn't give me that hint before going to present a name to the obscured passenger? Not even when I said I had no idea first? I had to get it wrong in order to have a clue?
Objection!
The dude just hurled a glass chalice filled with wine at that lamp while it was still lit. How did the flames not expand?
But what if there was some reason why he's unable to speak freely?
Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it would have been a most deliberate act.
All the more reason to bring him to the stand despite his objection. I don't think the way these proceedings were run would indicate it being 2 hours and 52 minutes since the trial began.
The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently.
Flee the courtroom? Why?
Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear.
I think you mean 17.
It's blood, isn't it?
Is something wrong?
Oh, it's just, well, this bloodstain is so obvious, that's all.
So much so that it looks fresh, and it could just be the light shining on it, but it looks to be a different shade than the other stain.
You shot this young girl next to a corpse, sir?
Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see?
Yeah, but you could have just sat her next to yourself instead.
When we arrived in London this morning, I didn't see my day panning out like this.
Mr. Naruhodo, no grumbling, even in your head.
Hey, you try leading the defense on this man.
This is a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, not cast...
You got blasted in the face with green smoke. That's all you have to say?
This fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir.
What, just because he stopped a teenage pickpocket from possibly coming under suspicion?
With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time.
This is less calculated reasoning and more emotional reasoning. It's ironic this juror out of all of them would use the term calm, calculated reasoning so lightly when she's trying her darndest to be as precise as possible in her judgments. Then we get this scene.
Mr. Naruhodo, this, well, it must mean...
It must mean what?
That we're victorious!
Premature celebration.
Objection!
Whoa, sick yoga, brah.
If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends, pray do forgive the discourtesy.
He keeps apologizing, but makes zero effort to assuage his discourtesies.
The guild's rules state that omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times, so it certainly would have been empty on the night in question. Beppo isn't that irresponsible. That money-lending fleecer and that big purse are lying!
What's funny is that Gina's actually telling the truth about having hidden underneath where McGilded had been sitting.
Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please.
About time. After the testimony was given, I've been waiting 9 minutes? A 9-minute long segue? That's as criminal as murder! I've talked before about how I'm not a fan of pressing a statement in a testimony, then going back to press a previous statement. Here, you have to press the last statement in Gina's testimony, then go back and press the third statement. Only then does McGilded give a reaction you can pursue so you get more testimony. I had to look up a walkthrough to figure this out. And may I also point out, there is no reason I could think of for the game to force you to press the last statement other than clarification on how Gina's hands got covered in blood. Nothing in the third statement where you pursue McGilded has any real connection to anything you heard from pressing the final statement. They did this to screw with you, that's all.
You will supplement your formal testimony by repeating that last statement, please.
What? Supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk.
Original characters' mannerisms say Maya Fey, despite the fact that she's not even your assistant in these games.
There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage.
He was put there after he died is technically what we end up going with, but the game penalizes us for initially answering such. Isn't that just annoying?
I shall have to penalize the defense heavily for this irrelevant rambling.
Then do it! Take away more than one pin! Just what exactly are you insinuating here, you blitherer?
You rotter! He said you rotter!
If you're gonna insult someone based on the other guy's words, you can maybe say those words as the other guy said it. Also, no one came to court to watch you throw a horse tantrum. You're effectively accusing me, a city gentleman and well-respected banker!
And me, a very angry hatter!
He missed the opportunity to call himself a Mad Hatter. This bus is actually called the Phoenix Wright Omnibus. A descendant who married a Wright somewhere down the Naruhodo line must have remembered this carriage from one of Oji-san's early British cases and wanted to make it the name of his son with the hopes he'd be just as awesome as a lawyer as Naruhodo Inosuke. You got a higher emphasis on 3D camera space and 3D models move more freely, but nothing of the bailiff opening the skylight? He's just a ghost?
That's without question.
It's blood!
Well, why would there be a bloodstain?
McGilden must have thought way far ahead to have Gina paint this bloodstain on the skylight. Seriously, how far into the case was McGilden expecting this rookie to get? Surely he didn't have that much faith, right? No.
When the police investigated the omnibus, the compartment was full of the driver's items. Secondly, we have the smear of blood on the edge of the skylight. As I have said, that was not present at the start of the trial this morning.
Unfortunately, Lord Von Zieks, no one is able to corroborate your claims.
Except for, the staking officers who investigated the carriage.
And in the absence of any credible method by which to prove its alleged previous non-existence, I regret to say that it would be improper for this trial to continue.
That doesn't mean declaring the verdict at this time. Further investigation needs to be done and proper guard of the omnibus is needed.
I hereby pronounce the defendant, Mr. Magnus McGilden, not guilty.
Huh. I won the trial, but I don't feel anything. Are those fireworks in a courtroom? Okay, we have fire being shot into a scale, wine glasses thrown at lamps, and now fireworks? How is the Old Bailey not burned down yet? Bull freaking crap, dude. It couldn't have been over 4 hours since we came back from that recess. Mr. Magnus McGilden? Everything is ready, sir. If you'd like to follow me into the courtroom. A bailiff asking the defendant to come to the courtroom after the trial is over. Isn't that a little unprecedented, to say the least?
Oh, good day to you. I'm, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine.
A 10-year-old girl inventing that? Well, I've seen crazier things happen.
I just took my eyes off it for a moment as I was changing onto a different omnibus, and she pinched it. Luckily, I fitted it with a telegraphic beacon.
A telegraphic beacon? When I was getting into the Great Ace Attorney, I wasn't expecting London to have been so steampunk.
Now I'm starting to regret turning Mr. McGilden down. That 1,000 guineas would have paid for a lovely warm room or mansion.
Maybe even leprosy, free of charge. And that just made my hollow victory even more hollow. Thanks, Capcom.
I begin to think, Wilson.
Narrating.
Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover.
It's just that we need to play a whole other game to find out more about this other part of the story, that's all.
No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer.
I don't know about fully fledged, but...
Now, in view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you.
Nice. The last trial led into total disaster, and now you want to kick me while I'm down only a day later. You're so pleasant.
Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames.
No.
How could such a thing have happened?
That is being investigated as we speak. But already, the police have identified a corpse inside the charred shell of the carriage as that of McGilden.
So, not only was he declared innocent in the trial, despite all the questions in the air, and the whole crime scene went up in flames, he died in it. Sure game. Kick it dissatisfied man while he's down.
An inspection of the omnibus. Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage.
But didn't Gregson say in the ending cutscene for the last episode?
No one was supposed to be allowed in here before we started investigating!
Meaning Scotland Yard was supposed to further investigate. But also, why wouldn't they plan to re-examine the carriage? A suspect may have gotten off, but the murder still wasn't solved.
Wow. Susato-san has such a way with words.
And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones.
That's a pretty specific thought to read, even from facial expression.
Don't tell me. It's a murder and the trial starts in 10 minutes.
Don't worry. It's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different.
Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind?
No, that was pretty easy to guess based on how your last trial went, not to mention how wiped out you clearly were from it.
And the trial will not be today. There is plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise.
Meaning it's about to be 10:17 now, even though it was 9:47 when we came here and we haven't been talking all that long. But also, with it being 10:17 now, doesn't that mean he's basically missed his appointment? When we started talking, he said he had 19 minutes and 41 seconds.
It is now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until court sits.
Already? It's true. Time really does move fast in Ace Attorney. That was just 43 minutes minus 26 is 17. 19 seconds minus 39 is negative 20. Plus 60 is 40, meaning take away 1 from 17. 16 minutes and 40 seconds after you told me about the case. Wow.
I hope I'm just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all.
No, you don't think? What gave it away? And this detective is eating fish and chips. I guess like how Detective Sky eats her snackoos. And does he just carry that around with him wherever he goes?
Can you imagine what the other officers there'll be saying? Haven't seen Grayson anywhere, have you? Nah, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. But all because of some bumpkin who's here on a jolt from a country I'd never even heard of.
That's a lie. You've heard of Japan. You've met Japanese people.
It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it?
It is unreasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine.
Unbelievable! How did she pull it off?
Because for one thing, she doesn't have testicles.
The name's Tobias Gregson. Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard.
Tobias Gregson? As in the one from the Home Stories? So because he's so minor, they could use his name no problem. Got it.
A young woman was walking along the pavement of Briar Row and she was stabbed from behind.
Another stabbing? Now I know I'm in London. Also, a violent crime that isn't murder? In an Ace Attorney game? Sign me and the rest of America, as well as Japan and Britain, up!
Look, if Anzies could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles, he works magic. Black magic.
This makes Van Zeke sound like a sore loser.
Calling me by a number! It's utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable!
Alliteration is awesome.
So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of our compatriot's voice in this damp, dark hellhole was a most monumentally moving moment!
I'm just giving some love for Soseki Natsume, a character based on a real-life Japanese author and scholar of British literature. This fictional version even references said author's book, I Am a Cat, when you first hear him speak after the guard summoned him. He even owns a cat named Wagahai in reference to that same novel. Also, both episodes in which he's the defendant has the word Kokoro in it, another reference to one of his novels. The word Kokoro directly translates to heart, so the title of this episode really is The Adventure of the Clouded Heart. But aside from these connections to the real-life Japanese novelist, the main thing I love about him are these animations for when he speaks in alliteration. This guy deserves more love, is all I'm saying. But another thing I want to bring up is that in this game, Soseki is depicted to have been 33 years old at this point in time. The real-life Soseki Natsume's birthday was on February 9th, 1867, and the incident took place on February 17th. With him being 33 now, this sets the year for the first game in 1900, assuming that even the year of his birth is the same in this version. But you want to know what's weird? The Ace Attorney Wiki says Meiji 35 was when most of these events happened. Meiji 35 is 1902, which just straight up wouldn't be the year it took place if we take Soseki Natsume's whole birthday into account.
If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language.
Well, how else are you going to study English literature?
Surely this man has to be the culprit.
What did he say?
Literally nothing, unless that was to one of your ghosts.
May you be cursed until the end of your days, Sherlock Holmes!
Does Sherlock Holmes really sound like Sherlock Holmes to any Japanese person that's never heard of him before? Also, I just realized, was this ever joked about in the Japanese version? Remember, he was just called Sherlock Holmes in Japan, so obviously Sherlock Holmes wouldn't have applied to him in that version, so how did it look in Japanese?
I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me. In impossible English, famous foreign film flabbery!
Another reason to learn the English language. A Japanese man coming to Great Britain? That's about the most fair thing to expect.
So I just kept repeating things like, yes I do, and I'm fine!
Ah, so that's where Apollo gets it.
Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by the place.
She says that like she thinks it's a literal yard, not a police organization.
20 miles. That's approximately the distance between Tokyo and Yokohama.
Which is what? Seriously, the first time you're not even comparing the imperial system to the metric system. Just use an example. Guess I'll just have to do it for you, so you'd remember every time after. 20 miles is about 32 kilometers. There. Done.
I'd always dreamed of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo.
No thanks. I'd rather be a lawyer.
221B Baker Street. The most famous address in the world.
Nah, see, it's different because it's the home of Sherlock Holmes.
To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case.
The King of Bavaria?
King Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund von Ornstein, of course.
Ah, yes, that guy, with the scandal about some woman or another.
Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance?
Oh, you know Hurley, do you?
Hurley sounds like another word for barfy, as in, Oi, that roller coaster that made me feel a bit early. What about you, chap?
I have so many questions for her. I don't know where to start.
Yes, and so do I.
I'm just so over it by this point.
Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions.
You might want to wait for the first Mission Impossible TV show to hit the airwaves. Oh, what's a TV show?
Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow.
Wait until you hear about this vigilante in black who fights crime with some kid dressed in red, yellow, and green getup that stands out. We interrupt the Great Ace Attorney Adventures to bring you Victorian English Psych.
Hurley says that London is rife with crime.
It certainly was back then, and now hardly seems much different.
Give Gregseed this for me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know.
So now we're bribing police officials. Great! So we're back to investigations being split up into multiple chapters again, huh? Like in the finales for Phoenix Wright 2 and 3. It's the appearance fee, that's what it is.
An appearance fee? Oh, I see. You mean...
That's right, for the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me. Every time! So, we're bribing police officials. Yep. If I remember rightly, the landlord is a Mr. John Garadeb. John Garadeb? That lawyer from Kansas? Wait, that's not him?
Thank you for waiting. Mr. Garadeb will see you now. This way.
By now, she of course meant him materializing into the room despite having a bad leg and sitting on a chair the whole time.
Joan, fetch the...
I know most people don't find this funny, but I think it's hilarious. But I'll send every occurrence anyway. Consider this my gift to you.
The first floor room became available a week ago, you see. There'd been...
No reason for Gyarados to be interrupted, except because this rumor he's referring to isn't all that important yet. Not in this game, anyway. But I bet now there's theories about Joan having involvement somehow. This description talks about Mr. Garadeb's wife, which, yes, we have met, but we didn't know who she was just yet. It's just a big spoiler, even if it doesn't take long to find out.
I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic. Miss Naruhodo and Mr. Susato.
Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes.
I lose the first round.
More like the whole fight.
It is a mistake to think that one's brain attic has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out the useful ones. Yes, those are my own words of inimitable wisdom, you know, from an adventure entitled A Study in Scarlet.
Okay, so you can directly name your first book, eh?
I can't believe he was looking Susato so squarely in the eye while feigning ignorance.
I assure you, I am not merely feigning ignorance.
Is Ryunosuke the only character in this duology who isn't a mind reader?
So, some 40 years ago, or thereabouts, the window tax was abolished. But its legacy remains, as you can see, in squalid lodgings such as these, for example.
It's been 40 years and still the window's bricked up?
I cannot say with any certainty whether or not it is of relevance to this case, but I am quite sure that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something.
No, you think? What gave it away?
The old man's broken out in the cold sweat. Unbelievably, it seems Mr. Shum's conclusions are both spot on.
Yeah, but the deductions themselves always need to be fixed.
Thus, we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take?
Funny he didn't even glance at his wife instead of the picture of her.
The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue.
Concealed, actually. Concealed.
Yes, you sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Garrideb, at Patty's Circus. A travelling show currently sojourning in a nearby park. I have observed the tents. You sold a savage lion, sir, to the circus troupe.
This is sounding less like what actually happened in this room and more like the plot to one of your crazy stories.
Yes, it is this pile of bills that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Every envelope contains another demand for payment. For cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat, and tea.
This is a lion we're deducing this for, right?
Was it, or was it not once said by a certain noblewoman, if they have no bread, let them eat cake?
As far as we know, there's no historical evidence of any such thing. The closest we have isn't even from Marie Antoinette. It's from an autobiographical by Jean-Jacques Rousseau called Confessions. The quote reads as follows: "At length I remember the last resort of a great princess who, when told that the peasants had no bread, replied that let them eat brioches." But the Confessions isn't considered entirely factual, so in all likelihood this may not have been a true story at all.
Worked into a frenzy by hunger, the lion attacked and ate the carpet. The teeth marks in the carpet are a perfect match with those of a lion I once saw in India.
There are no teeth marks on the carpet and you know it. You're just proving the theory even further. The dance of deduction is a test.
What is the matter with you, Joan? You're pouring scalding hot tea all over me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Garrideb. I'm afraid I didn't notice.
This time, I believe her. Every other time was clearly on purpose. This time, look at her face. She's too shocked to pay attention.
No doubt the former military man held his own against the beast using that large cannon.
We're standing right there in the room ourselves? My, what a unique burn mark you have, Mr. Garrideb.
Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. Passionate indeed. Perhaps the sender of this note, a certain Miss Mary, is the fly in the ointment here.
Or perhaps the note was somehow intercepted when it was supposed to have been sent to a certain departed man named Wilson.
Had all my favorite old novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh! Up in smoke.
Well, looks to me like you still got plenty left.
Worst of it is, I lost my favorite, book called The Lion's Pride.
Are you sure it's not The Adventure of the Lion's Mane, a Sherlock Holmes story published decades after this game takes place?
Bear in mind that all things fall into one of only two categories, those relevant to the case and those not.
That makes no sense to me.
No, it makes sense. It's really more of a no-hit Herlock statement. I'm pretty sure I chose to go to the prison.
I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers.
Who are you calling old man, you rum-looking niminy-piminy?
If you want to learn more about this Shakespeare-looking jester and this Popeye-looking man, finish this game first, then play the next. No, sir, I do not bite my thumb at you, sir, but I do bite my thumb, sir.
Who is the stronger, Hamlet or Macbeth? Mr. Natsume and I sparred long into the night.
What else did you debate? Romeo and Juliet, who's stronger?
Verena? Oh no! What do you mean? Please, tell me! Somehow this is sickly and sexy and silly at once!
He didn't even have to do the zoom up for this one.
But it means the wrong verdict can be passed.
And sadly, is from time to time, my dear madam, it is simply the reality of the situation.
Is the end of that sentence missing a period, or does it just have one period in surplus?
Who would have thought we'd be back here again so soon?
We are on a study tour of Great Britain with the intention of learning the country's legal practices. In order to research the latest court procedures here, we need as much court experience as possible.
Yes, but we also need breaks in between trials. Just make sure they're not overly long breaks in between like with your descendant.
The early bird catches the worm, as they say here in Britain.
Yes, I've heard that expression.
But I really don't want to catch a worm, so I tried desperately not to wake up early, but I was so worried I couldn't catch a wink, and now I am absolutely exhausted as a result.
Do all literary people take things so literally?
That would be funny since it's literary people that make the idioms in the first place.
Both times it is you who stands against this legendary prosecutor. It can only be that you're friends with the Reaper.
As if I'd be friends with someone who insults my race. Or our race.
Being a compatriot, you feel compelled to try to help the accused, I suppose. Typical Nipponese arrogance.
Forgive me, but I do not believe arrogance is an appropriate description.
Sasato-san.
After all, at our previous encounter, the defendant was found to be innocent.
Aren't you kind of supporting the arrogance argument with this? By sheer coincidence, we have two familiar faces, a witness for our first British trial, and the wife of our client's landlord.
A knife crime? I tell you from bitter experience, those are the worst! Bloody oath they are!
Unfortunately, Britain is kinda used to knife crime, even today. Okay, now that's just flat out rude. No, don't even bother apologizing for the discourtesy. You knew full well what you were doing.
Oh my, a photographic print in full color. What will the world come up with next?
How's this for an idea? Pictures that move.
He was on his way home from Bourbon Books, a second-hand bookshop he apparently patronizes.
Even with Bourbon Books being one of the bookshops he visits, you did investigate where he bought the books from, right? In which case, what are you saying Bourbon Books for? I get that you don't have the receipt from the actual bookshop he went to, but gosh dang, you British police are lazy thinkers. Two of the titles are The Picture of Monsieur Lecoq and Emile for Gabreau. Monsieur Lecoq is a fictional detective character that served as heavy influence for Sherlock Holmes, and the full second title is a play on Monsieur Lecoq's creator, Emile Gabreau. But what about Canterbury Yearnings? As in the Canterbury Tales? That series of short stories written in impossible Middle English? I'm serious, if you're one of those people in the 21st century who can actually read Middle English, you deserve recognition.
Your Books is another second-hand bookshop not far from Bourbon Books. It's just that, well, it's such a small place, I didn't think the accused would know about it.
As I was saying, the British police are lazy thinkers. I don't see the need to zoom out on the map like that. Your Books is within the same block as Bourbon Books, and on the same side.
My learned Nipponese friend is obviously in training to be a clown, the way he regales us with such witticisms. To your future career in the circus.
The original Japanese script just has Van Zieks calling Ryunosuke a clown, but in English they probably wanted to be close to the community. Like, come on, doesn't this sound like this Edgeworth meme where he has a custom line that's not in any of the games, even though it sounds like it could have been? You are not a clown. You are the entire circus. That just sounds so Edgeworth. Like, you could not look at Van Zieks' line right there in English and tell me straight to my face it was not influenced by the meme.
For pity's sake, the little Nipponese oddity already admitted it himself, didn't he?
Only that he was behind the woman when she was attacked, if that's what you mean.
Sorry? Fold, did you say? Fold what?
Discount Professor Calculus.
Juror number 6, I must insist that you add that information to your formal statement. It may very well be extremely significant.
In the meantime, let me just talk to my judicial assistant as though we're just pressing a statement and not getting a new one. This is hilarious because the old man was in fact not the person Natsume saw dropping on the pavement that night. This could be easily confirmed by the books that were dropped near the victim, unless the old man coincidentally bought the same books, but anything to keep the trial going, I guess.
I think perhaps the old man didn't hear you.
Unbelievable. It's not like I was loud or anything.
I think that's what she was talking about.
My goodness me!
Sorry? You need to pee?
And crucially!
Taking the last two lines out of context makes it a weird type of funny. I don't know how else to say it.
You idiot! Oh man! If you hadn't been so daft as to be roaming about there, we'd have boxed this off hours ago!
And really, what were you thinking wearing such a befuddling coat?
What did you say to me? Is it a crime for the elderly to walk the street these days? Is it a crime to slip over on the ice? Is it a crime to keep up with the latest styles and wear a beautiful green overcoat, is it?
Stick it to him! Hashtag end elderly abuse FTW!
Silence, Uma! What the does hashtag and FTW mean anyway?
Less than 2 meters? That's not much at all.
In other words, a distance readily vaulted by anyone of moderate figure.
Okay, not impossible, but isn't that a convenient argument just to continue your accusation of the defendant?
If you had such a trenchant argument up your sleeve, why in the world did you not proffer it during the summation examination?
I would say it's because it would be discourteous, considering he said in the previous episode that the prosecution isn't allowed to interrupt the summation examination, but this is the same guy who pours glasses of wine, shatters said glasses in his hand, or otherwise tosses them into the lamp, or even tosses the whole bottle at the gallery behind him, or even slams his boot on the bench. All that in the courtroom while the trial he's prosecuting is underway. I don't think discourtesy is a concern of his, honestly.
It was definitely that Japanese man in the dock. Raleigh and I both saw him as clear as day.
In an intense fog?
But surely you wouldn't have been able to see his face by the light of the gas street lamps, would you?
We absolutely could. Us Londoners have exceptional eyesight, I'll have you know.
And yet you initially described the victim and her attacker as silhouettes. Also domestic abuse.
No time to change after work, you say? Are you also a member of the police, Miss Beat?
Oh no, sadly not. It's a job for strapping young men only. Women, children, and the elderly can't even apply.
No, of course not. Women don't have those rights yet.
Oh, Pat.
Oh, Raleigh.
Oh, stab me.
Even if I decide to forgive him for insulting us, don't think for a minute that Raleigh will.
What's he gonna do about it? Fall asleep on top of me while holding an iron bat over my head?
Objection! So, you're saying that there are 4 books?
That's right. I remember all of them. The picture of Monsieur somebody, what's it yearnings, a meal for someone, and the thing of me something.
If you can't remember the titles that well, just say so.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
No.
As the court has just heard, the witness remembers the book titles flawlessly, save for a few minor details.
That's not flawless. That's not flawless at all.
You led the court to believe that the evidence in question contained a hitherto undiscovered clue. So I must insist that you elaborate, counsel. You will identify this clue at once.
Yeah, that's what I was already about to do, but Van Zink's being racist meant you got to impede me even for just a few seconds.
Without going into details, it appears that Mrs. Garrideb was considerably enraged. Apparently, she continued to attack Mr. Garrideb even amid the flames.
Oh, how awful! I can't even imagine being so horrid to the one you love!
You say this while tugging on your man's scarf anytime you want him to talk?
If books are your predilection, my learned friend, study them on your own time.
What? No forgiving discourtesy this time?
I know, right? Shocking. Yep, just before we do another summation examination, let's break.
I have considered the defense counsel's request for a further summation examination of the jury.
What even was there to consider? I thought this chapter was picking up immediately where the last one left off.
Objection! These 2 juror statements clearly contradict one another.
I thought you just got done saying we were looking for connections this time around, not necessarily contradictions.
I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open the... Oh!
You see, Barack? You see? Fire in the Garrideb house? Sounds like a good reason to open the window. We could have saved some time there.
Oh, my head!
Okay, so that's why we have the witness markers on screen above the text box. It's so we could pursue Joan when she reacts.
Throwing household objects at people is, well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor, using a bow or the like.
Or perhaps a Susato takedown?
Objection! Those 2 statements clearly have a deeply significant connection.
Where was that line the first time we pitted statements? So we got 4 out of 6 to change their leading. But we had to pit juror number 6, didn't we? He doesn't change his leading?
Yes, sir. Constable Early Beat reporting for duty, sir.
Well, good morning, officer.
What morning? I bet it's past noon by now.
What exactly is a top-hinged casement window?
On you, you cannot excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend.
Actually, I can, you racist.
Oh, Pat.
Oh, Raleigh.
Oh, please.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, Pat.
Oh, Raleigh.
Not even a response to this display, huh?
So to that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my warrant card for your perusal. But I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears.
How tear-jerking could a warrant card be?
Can I ask you something? Please, Mr. Loisa.
Oh, yes, of course. What is it?
You're adopting us, aren't you? I can tell.
Ah, this again?
By bouquet, do you perhaps mean this sorry, solitary rose?
Which doesn't really make a bouquet now, does it? What a convoluted testimony, and that's actually a recurring problem in the Great Ace Attorney series, not just this testimony. You're always pressing multiple statements before you can present evidence that contradicts any of the statements, and in between you may have to pursue witness reactions and or gather new evidence so that new statements can be added. Remember when cross-examinations used to be much more simple? There were times when you had to press statements in order to get the testimony and evidence that you need to advance the game, but here, it's just way too much you have to do.
There's no one straighter than my husband.
Not even the Ace Attorney community would touch this actually canon relationship. They just make up ships with other characters.
Oh, f*** you, Sammy. He married me for a reason.
Alright, girl, chill.
Moving a corpse is criminal offense, isn't it?
Wishing the victim dead should be one too.
Especially if you never knew her at all.
And anyway, the man over there in all that regalia said members of the jury needed to testify, didn't he?
Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all, juror number 4.
Allow me to reiterate something he said before.
It is unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand.
Objection!
And unnecessary.
Am I missing something here?
Now you listen to me!
Where's the name tag for Joan? Does she just carry that tea set with her wherever she goes? Let it be a battle to be remembered, told to us all in a testimony.
It was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw.
That is most certainly not true of a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yeah, it is.
And the woman's aim is uncanny. She landed a direct hit with every volley. Ah!
If you thought it was much for her to pour the tea into a cup that overflows onto his knee, why not try his friggin' pipe? Also, the 19th century janitors are gonna have a time cleaning up the hot tea if this keeps up.
Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there.
I'm pretty sure that's more than just a twinkle.
Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days, I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest.
Oh, he does. Dearie me, it's rather wearing being asked about every other letter and every other word.
You must be very dizzy.
That's dyslexicodic.
And what of this particular knife?
No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
No doubt? Did Victorian surgeons not perform operations to extract broken knife tips from stabbing victims unless they're dead?
In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Garradeb's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below!
So this violent crime was nothing more than an accident. Got it.
Oh gosh! Oh dear. Oh.
No.
If the knife that struck her had fallen from above, there's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's back.
Well, the fact is, the same knife that hit Garradeb's pipe was evidence to have been the one that hit the victim. You can't deny that. It's just a matter of explaining how that happened.
I'm sorry!
Whoa, even with a bad knee.
Very well, Mr. Saseki Natsume, I hereby pronounce you not guilty.
I know this is an unpopular opinion, but due to this satisfying feeling alone after the bitter ending that was the Runaway Room, I personally think this episode is my favorite in the first Great Ace Attorney. Heck, it's my favorite in the entire duology. I just love how satisfying it felt to not only contribute to the defendant's acquittal, but actually get positive vibes from it as well. That's the feeling I'm used to when I complete an Ace Attorney episode, and it was just what I needed. I'll take those ends off, thank you.
It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture, and may you never again be brought before me.
Yes, sir. Of course. On my life. I swear I'll never set foot in that courtroom again. I'm transported to tears.
Just wait until the next episode. What do you mean I have to wait for a whole new game for Natsume's second trial? The finale for the first game is not one that this particular episode is connected to? Gosh dang it, Capcom. Yeah, a lot happened, but I don't think it's 5 hours worth.
If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I will protect you! Hiya!
You know you didn't have to demonstrate on me, right?
All the babies will be beaten senseless by every able-bodied patron in the bar.
I don't know about you, but it bothers the heck out of me that they made the How to the Baskervilles bigger than the actual episode title.
It's coming!
What, the narrating?
For this is the diabolical hound of the Baskervilles.
Roll credits. Wait, that's not the title? Dang it!
And once our bellies are full, we can leave for court in fighting fit form. Let me see. What case is it today?
I think not being in court for 2 months must have done something to Susato-san if she had to ask this twice now.
Well, Iris, isn't it time we ate? Some dry toast and insipid coffee for me, if it's not too much trouble.
Welcome to London.
You mean Hurley's Great Analytoscope? That's at Windy Banks now.
A big contraption like that?
Look, I use this. It's my latest invention.
What is that?
I call it the Cat Flapper-Mat.
Gosh, a machine for making doors just for cats.
Again, who would have thought the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles would present Victorian London to be so steampunk?
Wouldn't it have been quicker just to make the cat flap rather than making a machine to make the cat flap?
Well, yes, maybe. But now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
There is a proverb from the East, with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel.
Yes, indeed.
So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in the hope that it would experience personal growth?
Since when do these sorts of proverbs apply to non-sentient objects?
There is only one way to make amends. I shall have to take my own life!
Don't do this! Suicide is a permanent answer to a temporary problem! Yikes, this video is gonna get suicide noticed. Also, any other time Ace Attorney has delved into suicide, it was usually done in a respectful manner that left an impact. Heck, even with Magnifique Grammary, who only did it after his disciples didn't shoot him, it's about how the event was dealt with. It allowed for the crime scene to be rearranged in order to frame someone else for what was really just a suicide. Suicide just does things to other people. So imagine how surprising it is when suicide is treated like a joke for this particular character. Now, I talk more on the subject, but I think if I go on any further, this video might get hit with a content warning for self-harm.
It was you, sir, Mr. Sholmes, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe.
Sorry?
As I recall, I entered the storeroom to fetch your violin when I heard, here it is!
It's not even the right color or size. Is he really that clueless? I'm not sure I buy this test theory for deductions anymore.
I needn't remind you of the peculiar collection of items you've brought through my door in the past.
Oh, peculiar items?
In the extreme, ma'am. For example, the unpublished manuscript of an eponymous work, the novels of Herlock Sholmes, or some such.
Oh my! A new fully fledged novel? And unpublished? A story I have yet to read, you mean?
Forgive me!
I'm sure there are people who really are this devoted to their job in real life, but what exactly do they think unaliving is going to do? Especially in this instance, when they accidentally let part of a secret slip, all they have to do in that case is just not say anymore. They don't have to stop living in order for that to happen.
Yes, that's Sable's suit. I suppose I could offer you 6pence for it, without wishing to offend. The tone is somewhat dull.
Sorry.
Aha, but for your splendid attire, ma'am, 5 guineas, no less.
Hey, take it easy, you presumptuous businessman. I haven't told you anything yet.
Should a customer's precious belongings be lost, the only recompense is for me to end it all.
The very idea, Mr. Winterbank, is an absurdity. One should never talk of one's demise so casually.
Says the man who was telling us all it would be a good day to die only this morning.
No, he has a point.
I developed a special type of film so sensitive it produces a crystal clear image even in darkness.
Could this series be any more steampunk if it tried?
But Did you not say that the photographic prints were taken at 30-minute intervals?
Indeed, as you say, my dear madam.
Then what if the incident were to occur in between times?
One can only say, that would be a cruel twist of fate.
Not really. I can imagine the reason for specific intervals was to save resources. You don't want to waste too much film for security measures, but this is guaranteed to cause crooks to be more careful.
I really think you ought to stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt.
Fear not.
Sorry?
I've only loaded a single bullet, so no one but myself could possibly be harmed.
Don't you think that gun would have better use against robbers?
So I had to keep a close eye on the dates. It's something of a pawnbroker's obsession, you might say.
Oh yes, I can see you're very dedicated to your job.
Disturbingly so. Thank goodness the game doesn't require you to actually go cross-eyed in real life to solve its puzzles, because I can't do it to save my life.
So, what are you doing in here? Down and out like the rest of us? Nothing to eat? Come to pop that black weasel? Sorry. Coat, have ya?
Why does everyone assume I'd want to trade in my uniform?
Yeah, I can see it written all over your Chevy Chase.
I know what the expression means, but how many modern folk, especially in America, aren't gonna think of the actor with that line?
She's been in before, of course, this little tatterdemalion.
I see.
And brought some dubious article or other with her every single time, I might add.
Dubious? What are you trying to say? I'm an honest customer, me.
Said the pickpocket.
Miss Lestrade, may I ask who deposited the overcoat here in the first place?
Well, me.
It doesn't really appear to be your size.
Me old man. It's me old man's, ain't it?
Yeah, right, and I'm a prosecuting attorney.
Who are you? How do you know who I am?
The question is, how do you not know who I am? Why should we know? You're not someone famous, you're just a friggin' communications officer.
Come along now, Mr. Strad, give the good gentleman his coat back. If you're going to cause trouble, I shall have no choice but to call the police.
What, you're not gonna unalive yourself?
Might I trouble you for the watchword associated with the article in question?
Of course, it's... Professor. Interesting watchword that's far more significant than you realize. My name is Benedict. Yes, Egot Benedict. As fake as that name sounds, no idea why he's bothering with an alias, don't worry. It's even worse in Japan. The original Japanese alias just straight up is the name of the North American delicacy. Also, naming yourself after an American delicacy in Victorian London.
Ugh, every move he makes, every breath he takes, I can't stand watching him.
Ah, so that's where the police got their lyrics from.
After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows, cruelly ostracized as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship.
What about the picture postcard gentleman? Hard to say fellowship now, eh?
It seems Mr. Sholmes has had another of his flashes of inspiration. But who knows if it'll help to resolve the situation between Mr. Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman. What's the right thing to do here?
Well, obviously we listened to the deduction. Why wouldn't we?
It would seem that once again, Mr. Sholmes has made a flawless deduction.
Well, that depends on what you mean by flawless. Is it the Van Ziek's definition by chance? I think it's the Van Ziek's definition.
The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction.
What utter rot! I've had this cane for years!
The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule.
Smooth move, Sholmes, showing us the real contradiction before pointing us to something else entirely.
You recoil, sir. Is something wrong?
Yes, something ripped. It don't get immature. You know what I mean if you've heard the sound as well.
You devised a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels.
You're just deducing this because that was the plan for a pair of criminals you caught before, isn't that right?
You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know.
Are you making fun of me for calling him a picture postcard gentleman?
We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet in a most possessive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG.
That makes the whole fake name even more pointless.
And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear?
I'm pretty sure his recoil isn't about the cane.
Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. The method is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn.
You couldn't change your deduction to fit the new information there? Getting a watchword off a council notice makes zero sense, even to this guy. Are you trying to put me back on the test theory? This part got me penalized at first because I didn't thoroughly examine the music box disc before I went to present it. I then realized that in order to truly play this game, I need to develop a strategy when it comes to the evidence. Every time a new evidence is added to the court record, thoroughly examine everything possible. It worked for a while until... I'll save the story for later.
This is my shop. I can't allow any harm to come to my customers. If that were to happen, I should have to take my own life.
Gosh dang it, Winterbank! You have a gun! If a life is in danger, use the gun on the aggressor, not on yourself! Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down to the station. But of course, Inspector. Ah! What did he do? Dramatically spin?
Yeah, the D let me keep it after I looked daggers at him for long enough. He went through the pockets and then said, "Go on then, have it," before telling me to scarper. Always pays off, giving people a look like you ate them.
Sure, I'll pass the info to a family of cattle dogs in Australia.
I can't help wondering if perhaps she might turn up anyway.
Interesting.
Once she's had a chance to calm down, I think there's a good chance she'll decide to come.
Ryunosuke knows an oncoming cliché when he sees one.
I should be glad of your company later, too.
Sorry?
You live in the building now, don't you?
I can't wait to learn some pickpocketing tips from a real professional.
Oh yes! That does sound like fun!
I'm not sure that's entirely appropriate. Are you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Think of the children!
So by Ginny, you mean Miss Lestrade, the young woman from the McGilded case 2 months ago, right?
Yes, who also stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Although, after that trial, I invited her back here and we had dinner together. And now we're the best of friends.
You're not serious, are you?
The other day it was so embarrassing. As usual, he totally forgot about the case he just solved, so the very next day, he gathered together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again.
I can only imagine how annoying it must have been for everyone involved.
You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris?
That's right. Wilson. Daddy is Dr. John H. Wilson.
Now that's a false lead if I've ever seen one.
Why ever did you not make your presence known to me before?
Because you've been suffering depression for literally no reason.
For the briefest of moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not?
Yes you did, but I still don't understand.
It was at precisely that moment that I summoned my one and only friend into action. I pressed the disc into a pair of bars, like this.
Okay, but what does it matter that Gregson was given a disc-shaped piece of caramel? Also, that was not the music box disc we were forced to give up. That is clearly a much different color and there's no blood on it.
I am presently engaged in acquiring an example of all the music boxes ever made in Europe.
Every single one?
That's early for you. Always taking things too far.
Just for this one freaking music box disc?
Even though we successfully established Mr. McGilda's innocence in a trial...
The newspapers are still claiming that it remains an unsolved case.
Because it is. You still didn't figure out who the real murderer was.
Do you have any idea how long it took me to write that Baskerville story, Hurley?
Oh, it sounds so exciting! The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it.
Susato needs to do a better job containing her excitement over a story that she was never supposed to have heard about.
That's because Mrs. Sato is such a great fan of all the stories about Mr. Sholmes, of course.
But, Runo, The Hound of the Baskervilles has never been published.
What?
Why is Ryunosuke so shocked? Didn't we learn this at the Pawnbrokers, that the story was never published? What a way to fade out of the scene. With a little kitty cat.
Ah, you mean all those pickpocketing techniques. We had fun trying them out on each other, didn't we?
I think I've awakened a natural talent. I could earn a living from it.
You might be getting ahead of yourself a little there.
Only a little?
So anyway, here, you can have it back. Not that I really understand why you wear it, though.
That's like asking a Bobby why he wears a badge. And wasn't this something you focused on when you first made deductions about us?
All right then, good night.
Yes, good night.
So this is your office, isn't it?
We just got done saying goodnight. Shouldn't we be hitting the sack right now?
And that's how the manuscript came to be with Mr. Windybank, isn't it?
Yes. Hurley said it had to be somewhere very safe.
That really gets my goat, that does. He's treating you like a child.
But she is a child.
I'm telling you, that mantle script ain't at Windybank's. You'd soon see if you had a look.
That's precisely why I'm going to look for you.
Well, anyway, we must investigate.
At once!
I mostly just want to try out this cool invention by Iris.
Behind that door. In the storeroom.
Did Susato tell Sholmes about the flap in the door to the storeroom? Because Sholmes couldn't have seen the tragedy himself. Remember, he was shot before he could even take a good look. How interesting. He threatened to die by gun and look what happened. I don't know if I've ever seen another Ace Attorney episode that had a previously on Ace Attorney cutscene like this, because Sholmes' dialogue here, that was stuff we already heard in the anime cutscene just before we saw it to be continued. Then we start the next chapter and see this.
What about those two thugs that were on the scene? Why aren't they the prime suspects? After all, they shot Hurley dead, didn't they?
Ah, the joys of going through the topics out of order. This is talking about Gina's arrest, but then you talk about Sholmes' situation.
When we entered Windybanks, a gun was fired and he took a bullet.
Hurley was shot?
What's that all about?
Where is he? Which hospital?
He's at St. Sinners.
Perfect name for your hospital. An oxymoron.
I'm not sure how I feel about taking a 10-year-old child to a scene of a murder. But I don't want to leave her all alone here either.
Which evil is the lesser evil? Taking a child to the scene of a murder or leaving that child at home alone? Honestly, Iris seems smart enough to set traps for any robbers that might break in, but a child is still a child. They locked her up with the smoke grenade launcher? Why would they lock her up but not confiscate a blatant weapon?
A photographic print? Of a really adorable cat.
I found it in one of the pockets of this coat. Ain't no point me having it.
I'm guessing Gina never got a look at the reverse side of this photograph, which is funny considering how she got the overcoat.
In fact, if anyone, it's the police who seem to be the ones doing the ransacking.
I know what you mean. They're like a gang of organized criminals, all dressed in black.
Oi, I heard that! Yeah, tell him to speak for himself.
And I don't think it's Runo's fault that the rogues managed to get away, is it? Chasing criminals is the police's job.
Absolutely, your ladyship. As you say, ma'am, as you say. The jet in black is totally blameless. Everyone's in agreement about that.
Ow, the sarcasm hurts so much.
And Miss Lestrade is being held at the prison?
Yeah? Why do you ask? You paid a visit to her earlier. Oh, wait, you could just make the visit at any time? Dig it!
Eh? How do I know? Well, because, of course. Ah, yes, because Mr. Sholmes is such a great detective, that's why.
Ow, not more of this sarcasm, ow!
As you are aware, the voyage from here to your country's capital, Tokyo, takes some 50 days.
Or like about 55.
What have I already informed you about your technicalities, Mr. Knight?
But alright.
The girl currently has no representation.
But that's not fair! Yes, she may be a pickpocket, but she still deserves a fair trial.
Again, a funny situation if we've already talked to Gina before coming here.
Now then, fella, what I need you to do is take this coat of mine and deposit it with a nearby pawnbroker.
You mean this bloody coat you were wearing when some bloke got stabbed in the tum-tum? Sure, I can do that, no problem. Where's the time gone? Have we really been going from place to place for 7 hours before finally getting representation papers?
Iris is bound to find this difficult. After all, Mr. Windybank's life was taken to this very room only last night.
Great idea to bring a child into the room then.
I'm afraid this is all a little much for young Iris. Some gentle reassurance might go a long way, perhaps, Inspector.
Eh? Don't trouble yourself unduly, your ladyship. I mean, at least you're not dead, are you?
That has to be the worst attempt at consolation ever! I mean, wow, it's so bad, it wouldn't be any better if Iris were an adult. Imagine if either of your parents or a close relative of yours had died. If I were to say to you, well, at least you're alive, would that make you feel better? Of
course it wouldn't! Someone in the family still died! I made it sound like a friggin' joke!
The lock appears to be broken now, though. Was that the police officer's doing?
Quite right, ma'am, quite right. We took the liberty of smashing the door in, as humbly as possible.
Great, now he's being weird towards Susato, too.
All of which leaves our ladyship's friend in something of a sticky situation, I'm afraid. Obviously, my personal opinion is that it's all some sort of misunderstanding.
How is the pain from the sarcasm getting worse?
There's nothing like the sight of blood to get the blood pumping, is there, Runo?
I have a feeling I'm not as bloody-minded as you, Iris.
I'm afraid the sight of blood makes my blood run cold.
There you have it, you see. When it comes to blood, we're all different types.
That was like 4 blood jokes at a time there, game. And here's my 5th just to purposely get my own blood boiling. Oh my goodness, blue blood? He must have been royalty. But then the blood is back to its normal red shade, even after Iris used her fancy machine to change its color. That stuff's not like luminol where you have to wear special glasses to see it, because A, the blood hasn't been wiped up, and B, don't give me no crap about the goggles Iris is wearing, because it doesn't look like the view change filters at all. It's only the blood that's changed, so what's going on?
There's something very peaceful about the atmosphere in here. Or at least there would be, if not for the chalk outline on the floor and the policemen shuffling around.
How much I can do about that, sunshine?
Is Gregson a mind reader too? I could probably read all the stuff on the ticket, even with all the fancy script, but the stuff on the top and the bottom is practically unreadable.
Oh, what have we here then? A redemption ticket for an article deposited here, is it? Looks like someone ran out of office stationery and wrote the ticket on whatever paper was to hand.
I can't blame Windibank for that. No, I blame Shobes with his red-handed recorders. Windibank has to keep buying the dang film.
Yes, this is the ticket for McGillen's overcoat. The one that little diver turned up with yesterday.
Oh, actually, no, it's not.
Really? Think you know better than me, do you?
What, just because English isn't my first language? Because that's racist.
There's too much pressure! I'll lose me marbles, I will! I'll go barking!
This is no time for dog impressions, Inspector.
That's Dogsist.
So, then we need to find every box with a lock and break them all open!
That sort of misconduct would get you arrested. I won't let that happen.
Because physical assault is so much better, right?
Watch me and see if you can copy. Make your eyes do this.
All right, let me try. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo?
I'll see you again in my nightmares.
The trick is to concentrate on looking at the bridge of your nose with both eyes at the same time.
Not exactly an easy task when 2 people are staring at you cross-eyed.
You're telling me I can't even do it without being stared at by someone who's cross-eyed. I'm so glad you don't really have to do it. If I wanted to play video games while cross-eyed, and if I wanted to waste my money, I'd buy an R-Zone. But I'm not that rich. This reminds me of those crappy 3D pictures you see nowadays. You know the ones I'm talking about. Technically speaking, it's cool, but in practice, it's not cool. It just isn't at all.
But if these little machines are so affordable, surely there's no need to go around staring cross-eyed at pictures like you hate them.
But it's much more satisfying to be able to see the effect with your own eyes.
Yeah, maybe the first time, but I've lived my whole life without needing glasses, and I'm not going to start forcing myself to need them.
Stereoscopic pictures. I'd never even heard of them until yesterday. We've certainly learned a lot about them, but I wonder if it's knowledge that I'll ever actually need.
Foreshadowing.
Oh yes, a bullet hole, and I can see the bullet is still lodged in the wall.
Presumably Mr. Windybake wasn't practicing with his revolver in his spare time.
Of course not! Remember, he only ever had 1 bullet and only ever planned to use it on himself. No intention to save lives or anything. Just because a big altercation started taking place in his shop, he would rather die to his own gun than try to be a hero.
If the blood changes to be the same color as the sample from the storeroom, we'll know that it's Mr. Windybake's blood.
Yeah, but then it would beg the question of what his blood was even doing on the calendar in the first place. Remember, he was only shot once, he died instantly, and the bullet entered his body on a diagonal slant going upward through his back. And don't tell me that tub of lard was moved after he died. That would take too long, and there's no signs that ever happened anyway.
Alright. I believe that this is the blood of,
Well, no reports on Gina or Magnus having been injured ever, and the blood isn't the same color as Windibanks, so yeah, this is deduction just simplified.
Gina brought this ticket here to Windibanks yesterday. I'm suggesting that the bloodstain was already on it at that time.
And Windibank never bothered to notice, or ask what that crimson stain was.
Ah! I nearly jumped out of my skin there. How could Mr. Windibank set such a wicked trap?
Relax, this happens every hour. Over 4 hours after arriving at the scene? How long are the waits for these carriages, or even the ride to the prison?
It looks like I'm going to have to take some evidence that clearly reveals the reason, and thrust it in Gina's face! Or I could present it to her calmly, I suppose.
Yes, please do! The poor girl's been through enough already!
It wasn't because of Iris. That's not why I did it. I just wanted to know the truth. That's all.
Or Iris. Go on then.
You mean they're not the adventures of a great detective so much as the adventures of a great detective and his trusty partner?
Well, that's how I see it, yeah.
I can imagine that's how most Sherlock Holmes fans would see the literature series, because even though Holmes is more popular, a vast majority of the stories are written from Watson's perspective. So in a way, the stories are about both Holmes and Watson.
Those stains on the sleeve of your new coat, Gina, they're blood, aren't they? Not that I know whose blood yet.
And that blood is hardly, if ever, showed in any other animation for Gina than when she grips the cell door. I can understand the blood blending in with the coat, but the cuffs, which are much brighter, clearly don't have any blood, yet those particular stains still materialize.
The only explanation for this pattern of blood is that it splattered over McGilda's goat when he stabbed the victim in the stomach.
Holy! So I got McGilden set free despite having my doubts about his innocence. Then he died in the fire set to the omnibus, and now I learn that he was never innocent to begin with. It's freaking genius, actually. Finally, Ace Attorney does something new!
Seriously, Mr. Narrowato?
Close enough.
I just got word that there were some visitors who were refusing to leave even though it was after hours.
Refusing to leave? That's putting a slant on it, don't you think?
I wish you the very best of luck tomorrow. Good night.
Wait! There's something I need to say!
Rude. I just wanted to say something. Then again, that's one way to make sure I get some shut-eye for the trial tomorrow. The small hours. Can you be more specific?
Yes, I quite understand.
That is a great weight off my mind.
The only hint that it's a man and woman talking are the text blips in their lines. Why not just put the name tags for this scene? It's not like the fact that it was Sholmes and Susato talking is even that big of a reveal. Why all the secrecy?
And so began an even longer day than the last.
You're telling me I had to go through 4 investigation chapters in a row before I could even get into the courtroom. Not just that, the trial spans across 4 chapters, and while the first 3 could go on for about an hour, the last takes 3. I am not kidding. The last chapter in the episode is the longest chapter you would ever play through in the whole series. Or it would be if it were for the sequel.
So, where's your friend then?
Sorry?
You know, in the fancy dress, Susato, or however you say it. I don't know.
I think we told you yesterday, but Susato's going back to Japan. Is no one gonna do anything about the fact that this 10-year-old girl brought a cat into the courthouse, and you're just gonna let him out of your grip? Great.
Let him have a nose around. What harm can it do?
Those Vosses on the bookshelves disagree.
And look, this trial's made the headlines too. Pawnbroker perishes in pick-pass plunder. See?
Alliteration is awesome.
And then in tomorrow's paper, the headlines will be, Discharged diver is dauntless do-gooder.
Is everyone just gonna talk like Soseki Natsume from now on? Those guards at the Old Bailey need to do a better job with security.
No, jurors, the 6 of you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people in this trial.
Random, huh? Let's see. There are 4 people I've actually seen in person on these seats. That would be the landlord of my previous client, the maid and typewriters for the McGilda trial, and the old man for the Briar Road stabbing, now dressed in his work clothes. The only 2 people I can believe were truly randomly selected is the guy with the stereoscope headband and the Russian revolutionary. Also, could they not make more character models for the jurors, or did they just want to make a joke about the jury? Also, you'd think the Russian revolutionary introduced in the Speckled band would have some relevance to the game's story, but all he does is act as a juror in Gina's trial, nothing else. Thanks!
I am visiting London for the sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please.
Pretty sure the V replaces the W, not the other way around. Also, Bolshevik has a mouse. I'm pretty sure that isn't any better than bringing a cat into the courthouse.
The evidence suggests that the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near-instant death.
Near instant or just instant? I found that the difference between the two conditions can make a huge difference in the case.
Oh, well, it was only a matter of time before she got blood on her hands, Ben.
Didn't she already do that 2 months ago?
That's right. We're what they call
The Three Skulking Brothers.
I get there were originally 3, and they're just trying to rope Gregson into this, which may lead you to think there's a connection. But other than Gregson trying to keep government information under wraps, Gregson has no real connection to them whatsoever. So why even bother trying to get him mixed in with these two? Also, why are they giving me some Blues Brothers vibes? Let's have the short guy eat an apple. It'll make him look like that much more of an a-hole.
Hold it!
No witness marker? Am I getting somewhere?
For yes, there are the telltale signs of spent powder on this gun, and a single bullet missing from the cylinder, but the prosecution demands evidence that it was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial.
Objection! Well, I don't need evidence! Cause I was there!
Oh please, you were also at the restaurant when an English gentleman was shot. You didn't shoot him, but everyone thought you did.
What do you have in your portfolio that proves these witnesses unloaded a firearm at the scene?
Why, the only photo that shows a bullet other than the one unloaded into the victim, of course.
Took a bally bullet to the knee in the Battle of Mai 1, 1880, don't you know?
I can only imagine a much younger John Garrideb then, considering when I believe the Great Ace Attorney to have taken place. Now the game's forcing me to research the Battle of Maiwand.
The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached agreement, have they? Is that what we are to understand?
Well, Mr. Foreman, is that correct?
In a manner of speaking, yes. That is the Garrideb Squadron's position, sir.
What? No! It's too soon to make a judgment here!
When is it ever not? Are the old man's hands paralyzed or something? Does he have to use his head to fling his verdict torch into the scale?
But Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windybank. Which means there's more to this situation that we've yet to see.
Agreed.
Enough with the mind reading on you, forger!
Of course, people conducting surgery in this country are considered to be doctors. Oh no! Even though me and my kind are at the forefront of medical science, the real brains in the field.
Strange of Victorian Britain not to consider surgeons to be doctors, despite needing just as much medical knowledge for their line of work.
Hold it! Sorry, radio transmission? What do you mean?
Are you from the Far East? Stop.
Are you just going to speak to a human that's in the same room like you're issuing a telegram? Stop. Seriously, woman. Stop.
Ah, here is what? Abdomen, part of person's body containing stomach and other vital organs. If this is what you mean, you should say in plain English. I am Russian, not native speaker.
But if you're not native speaker, doesn't that make it worse? Shouldn't you be suggesting that I tell it to you in Russian?
So, to start with, you have to cross your eyes and then try to make the two pictures overlap exactly.
Or you could just look at them normally and pinpoint a difference in distance between certain objects. Or whatever else works. Personally, notice the doll's legs hanging over the counter, or perhaps the framed photo of a dog near those papers, or maybe even the candlestick on the right side of the canvas. See, if you can't cross your eyes, just gauge the distance. Does Van Zieks just carry that stereoscope with him, or did an officer have to give one to him? Once again, the trial is still in session and has not yet gone to recess.
On the night in question, you rifled through the items on the victim's counter!
We never did
How'd you
nothing
figure
of the
that
sort.
out?
Cause you look like bad guys! Incompetent bad guys! And you can't even be in agreement on what to do if caught out!
I mean, it was all quiet as a mouse and all of a sudden...
Is that right?
Excuse me! Inspector Gregson, do you have something to add?
Like I keep saying, I don't appreciate being lumped in with these scoundrels!
You're the one that reacted to the testimony for some reason.
Give me that gun! Ah, bollocks!
You'd think you'd be able to point out the inconsistency with this reenactment, but nope, you gotta disprove a different point first. This report was penned by Dr. Stevens, which sounds like it may be referring to Courtney Scythe, a character we'd meet in the sequel. If indeed it is the same person, that would mean the name didn't change to Scythe until sometime after this episode took place.
Poor Mr. Windybank. He did everything he could to protect his shop.
Yeah, for once.
Well, I think you've done it. Surely they have to give a verdict of not.
Thanks, Barack. You know a premature celebration when you see it.
I have here in my possession one more piece of evidence that the prosecution wishes to present.
The bloodied music box disc that the picture postcard gentleman cut himself on. Not the silver model that Sholmes had. I ask again, what was the point of that whole ordeal of swapping the disc with a carbon copy made of caramel? If you missed that detail, you pretty much missed nothing.
I have the jury on my side for once. For all of 5 minutes.
Oh dear, it wasn't even for 5 minutes, Runo.
Oh yes, it was. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was longer than that.
When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth.
That's my line. I wrote that for Hurley. Ugh, how dare he use it against us?
Iris Watson would be amazing at CinemaSins.
What? You're the surgeon that operated on Mr. Sholmes?
And yet he's been called as a juror? I mean, he himself has nothing to do with the case, but if he's the one who operated on Sholmes...
Objection! Those two statements clearly contradict the idea that all I do is pit jurors against each other.
Well, if it never hit you, why did you fall down?
Bullet hit frozen wall of ice very close to my side.
What?
Small piece, very sharp, broke away from lump of ice and pierced my body. It made deep wound that looks just like bullet wound.
And that's about the extent of how useful you are for the game, providing an explanation for Sholmes' apparent bullet wound, even though there was no exit wound and the bullet was never found in his body. No revolution or whatever the heck. You're just a visitor from Russia with extensive knowledge of guns, and that knowledge is the only use we get out of you for the game.
Yes, a pouch. It's where he keeps 3 glass vials of very dangerous chemicals that he uses in his investigations.
Very dangerous chemicals? What are they for? And if they're so dangerous, why store them all in the same pouch? And close to the stomach area? Jeepers creepers!
The bungling and burgling brothers shot the detective, and the accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered.
Hey, genius! The pouch looks burned black and a glass vial had exploded. Doesn't this warrant a little further examination? You're telling me the fastening on this strap had been burned off, and this is only the first time the Skokin's bullet is seen in the pouch?
Allow me to show you, then, the third bullet!
Literally called, in the court record, the third bullet.
Yes! On the night in question in Windybank's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired!
Hold it!
What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer?
Well, excuse me for finding something that was difficult for you to have overlooked, you donut! An hour-long recess set to conclude at 1:40, but game says 12:41. I suspect cheating.
I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers.
Yeah, I know.
This is it at last. The final chapter. The final battle.
Nah, see, there's one more chapter after this. That is the real final battle. So it was a whole hour after all. But they said 1:40. That's it, just 1:40. So, that's still cheating.
Now, kindly state your name and occupation for the record.
Ashley Graydon, Communications Officer.
This man's first name is Ashley? Also, I must ask again, what was the point of going under a fake name earlier other than foreshadowing to your court appearance? Even with your position as a government communications officer, that day you were talking to a bunch of low-class people. Ashley Graydon wouldn't mean anything to us until now. Discount Oddjob, or Michael Jackson. Take your pick.
Whose idea was it to permit an outsider to work in a British court anyway?
That's racist.
Excuse me! Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin?
What? Me?
No, the Mr. Skulkin next to you.
Oi! I'm right up to here with this! How many times am I going to tell you? I said next to Ringo, which clearly means I couldn't have been addressing Gregson because Gregson is standing between. Why even require me to explain this?
Perhaps you'd allow a court official to examine your arm, sir? The left arm that you're currently clasping with your right hand, as if in pain.
No, I refuse. You have shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to these common thieves. Accordingly, I am not obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy.
This works.
Which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broker in question.
You claimed that was your overcoat?
Which is funny because that overcoat is clearly not your size, as we could already prove by the tear in the seams getting bigger if we tested on you again, right here in the courtroom.
So your men have already compared these two prints thoroughly, Inspector?
Clearly they haven't, considering a changed position in one of the objects that's shown between both of these photographs.
I don't believe it! If I could have just shown her the stolen McGilda's pawned box.
Don't give me the rookie excuse. Haven't you demonstrated a way to compare two identical looking photographs already? That's how you learned some other bullcrap was going down that night.
Could there be some hidden discrepancy in these two photographic prints somewhere?
If you'll remember earlier in this video, I commented you could just closely compare the positions of the items by just looking at them. No need to use a stereoscope or go cross-eyed in order to see the difference. In fact, the game actually gives you the option to do that. But alternatively, you could also use the stereoscope. I'm surprised they didn't let you just look at the prints for comparison earlier.
Indicate the precise location of the discrepancy of which you speak.
Gee, I don't know. Could it be the one item with the flip me glow around it? And you don't have to ask me for the discrepancy, just cross your eyes or use the stereoscope to look at the pictures.
So a box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen, which means quite simply that nothing had changed.
No, it means that small box was so obviously the target. I really don't see how it could mean anything else, you desperate Dutchman.
Then there's every chance I may have adjudicated an error in McGilded's trial.
Only every chance you may have adjudicated an error? Remember previously I said you shouldn't have just ended the trial there. If there were doubts about whether he was truly innocent, that's why the case needs to be further investigated for more evidence. No verdict should have been given yet. This is the one and only time in the Great Ace Attorney duology I can name where you're required to pursue without an indicator. Yes, Gregson and Graydon are engaging in a secret conversation while you're cross-examining Gina, and so they never react to her statements. Let me also point out the fact that they're having a secret discussion right there on the stand, and Rianowski needs to point out for anyone to notice is just stretching things.
Anyway, you can't blame me for thinking about it. Thinking ain't no crime.
Tell that to the Thought Police on Airstrip 1. You know, actually, maybe it's a good thing there's a checkpoint in the middle of the proceedings for once, because let me tell you, the last chapter of the game takes 3 hours to play through. 3 freaking hours. Now that is some serious commitment.
Well, with much regret, I feel the court must accept that this music box offers little in the way of clues.
But it does beg the question why Gregson was so deadly insistent on the disc not being played for the court to hear.
And if I'm right, it's going to join all the dots together.
Quite literally, dashes included.
Are you suggesting that the music box disc contains stolen government secrets in Morse code?
That is the most genius method in which to leak government secrets in the 19th century.
So then, let us proceed. You may...
Hold it! Gosh dang it.
That's right. We're what they call the Three Skulking Brothers.
You're still trying to rope Gregson into your game? A mere communications officer couldn't possibly steal confidential government information. But juror number 5 already stated the office she works at isn't just any old telegram communications office, it's one operated for the government. To anyone with a brain, that will be blatantly apparent on listening to that music box for even a few seconds.
Of course! Of course!
Surely. That can't be that my lord friend is unfamiliar with Morse code.
Why is that a shocker? Morse code is not just a verbal language you learn when you start speaking your first word. Oh, so finally you reveal his last name, 2 episodes after he died. Since when did profiles get their updates announced?
I wonder if the key to us making headway with the cross-examination here could be those 2 brothers.
First off, why'd that last part need to be a thought bubble? Second, of course it's those brothers. We got new information out of pressing them, didn't we?
Mr. Ashley Milverton. Is it not the case that the brickmaker, Mr. Mason Milverton, was your father?
Why father necessarily? He could just as easily be a distant uncle. It's been almost 4 minutes. Holy crap, finally.
The broker's gun was not the murder weapon, so clearly there had to be a third firearm involved. In other words, the accused must have had her own gun with her at the time.
You mean someone else's gun, considering she's a pickpocket?
You saw him? He grabbed me whistle. What a blaze, he said. Didn't you mention the third gun when we got you down to the station?
Oh, I'm pretty sure he said,
"You little toe rag!"
No, that wasn't like Grexy at all. He's normally all sweetness and light, no matter what I say to him.
And yet he's not at all nice to me. What's your point?
Traces of human blood were found on the overcoat of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear that they were the result of spattering following a gunshot wound.
I can imagine how that kind of spattering happened, but then why did the blood in the overcoat turn purple with no trace of blue?
I held out Broski to starving boy, and he ran away crying.
What? You think this is grounds for a third summation examination, but nope. And I love that mechanic too. You mean to tell me he was able to keep all that hair tucked under that helmet until this moment when he reveals himself?
Ah, well, that concoction of mine was really just a bit of a sport to assist me in my investigations. I never took the trouble to refine it for appraisal by the scientific community. An oversight on my part.
Some oversight? That is a huge mistake.
Counsel, you must choose but one statement from the witness's testimony, and but one piece of evidence to present in support of your argument against it.
A single chance to present evidence?
If following that, the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication.
Assuming, of course, you only have one pin remaining. What? No! No. When did anyone make that cat flap at the courtroom door? Graded was at the edge of the stand, yet for this one animation he's in the center, then in the zoomed out view he's at the edge again.
It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle.
Don't forget the dashes. However, there's no proof that I passed that disc to the inspector.
Objection! But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole?
I'm under no obligation to explain. Yes, you are. You knew about something you shouldn't have if you left after the peephole was installed. Take the hit, fellas!
One final piece of evidence to get him to admit the deal he clearly struck on the stand.
Holy crap, finally! I thought the game would never let me present the music box that's so obviously the answer to that second disc. Then, when the inspector here took the disc from me in the pawnbrokery that day, I become nervous. Phew! Can't believe I almost missed that error. Other than that, Graded's confession doesn't really have anything sin-worthy in it, but it goes on for about 14.5 minutes. Let's round that crap up and assign that many sins.
Well, this has been a long and exhausting trial.
You're telling me, and I still got almost an hour left of this final chapter, and that's including the end credits.
2 months ago, in my courtroom no less, you gave false testimony, did you not? And in relation to the trial today, not only did you unlawfully enter Winterbank's pawnbrokery, you also attempted to abscond with Mr. McGilden's property, it seems.
Eh? I never done nothing of the sort.
No point denying it now, it's already out there.
I eagerly look forward to the ball again, Miss Lestrade, never gracing my courtroom with her presence again.
Hate to disappoint you then, Your Honor. Just give it 6 months. Sure, let's make another fire hazard!
You mentioned something earlier today about total betrayal at the hands of the Japanese. What happened exactly?
Well, you may ask. And one day, when the time comes, you will learn the answer whether you like it or not.
And by one day, I mean wait a whole game.
Pardon the interruption. But what the deuce does a man have to do to be noticed around here, my dear fellow?
Clear his throat, maybe?
Yeah, him upstairs knows what's what, right? He knows what people are like on the inside. He won't have got the wrong end of the stick. There are some coves like that bog trotter what are rotten to the core. At the end of the day, him upstairs makes sure they get what they deserve.
What's the Reaper, some Victorian Batman that actually does kill people?
As you know, I have a penchant for disguise. I was hiding in this room dressed as a bailiff. But these dolts didn't notice my presence at all. They had no idea.
Well then get a crappier disguise, you dolt!
On a whim, I thought it would be fun to see if I could take the cat flapper mat. So I put it up my sleeve.
Really?
And then I rather forgot about it, until I found myself in Mr. Windybank's shop with it later that night.
I see.
No, you don't. First off, how did she hide that big contraption up her sleeve? Second, how did she forget until she was in Windybank's?
If the peephole inconsistency hadn't existed, I'm not at all sure that she would have been acquitted in the end. Mrs. Sato, what you did saved Vegeta's life!
Ace Attorney, the only series where your judicial assistant can tamper with the crime scene and your client still gets acquitted.
The message appears to be a list of 4 people's names.
4 names?
The first is Kei Asogi.
Kazuma Asogi. Why was his name on that disc?
The second is A Shin.
The Morse code we heard in the courtroom only gave us those first 2 names, and the second, A Shin, is not correct. Well, the Morse code is really supposed to be Japanese, not English, but let's keep talking about the second name. In Japanese Morse code, the surname would be translated to Sasha, given the original Japanese name and Sasha. But whether you're playing the Japanese version or English version, the first initial is all sorts of wrong. The first initial is signified by just a single dot, which in International Morse code is E, not A. A is actually a dot dash, as clearly demonstrated by juror number 5 earlier, to which I gotta ask Capcom, how on earth did you mess that up?
This is so strange. Somehow, in solving the case of Mr. Windybake's murder today, I feel like I've rolled back the boulder at the mouth of a very dark cave.
That sounds like a biblical reference right there, and it's hard to know whether or not I care for that particular one being the example.
Somehow we seem to have come to the end of the adventures of Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Narration.
Anyway, I explained everything and how it was all your fault.
Huh? Huh?
I believe a formal complaint should be delivered to your office tomorrow.
Thanks, Hairlock Sholmes, making me the scapegoat for your actions. Get the copious money a bit on the restaurant bill instead.
Objection!
About time. It's been well over half an hour after we stepped out of that courtroom, and now the credits are rolling.
Witness, your testimony's riddled with contradictions.
Exactly! Rarely do rare Koban coincide on the rare stakes themselves.
Well, I don't know, son knows his father is an innocent man. Or are you calling my son a liar?
I thought the whole Koban coin thing had already been resolved.
I've done nothing wrong! All I did was give Wagahai's offspring refuge in my pocket!
Wagahai had kittens? Wait, does that mean Wagahai is actually a female cat mistakenly identified as a male this whole time? Actually, male calico cats are pretty rare, but I'm not gonna get all scientific on you. That's not what this video's about, yo.
Like a great clock, in fact, whose hundreds of parts mesh together in perfect unison.
Now, a clock needs to be cleaned, well lubricated, and wound tight. Gosh dang, Ryunosuke's got the short end of the stick, being pushed by a leading Sholmes, Wagahai grabbing his hat, all while he's just trying to do a cool objection pose he hopes to pass on to a descendant who becomes a lawyer in the 21st century. No, I'm enterprising. You'd think the cat would start following our leads once they passed him? I know he belonged to Soseki-san first, but remember, he wasn't able to bring the cat with him on the voyage back to Japan because the rules on the steamships forbidding pets. That's why Wagahai is under our care now.